Chapter 1597. After entering the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree. By now, Lu Ming had watered it with a large amount of spiritual liquid. The Enlightenment ancient tree was growing very well. It was now 2 meters tall and its trunk was as thick as an arm. Its branches and leaves were lush, and wisps of heavenly Tao aura lingered between the branches and leaves. When a cultivator sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree, his heart would be calm, his mind would be clear, and his thoughts would be active. The speed of comprehension would increase by many times. Following that, Lu Ming took out a heavenly Tao stone. The heavenly Tao stone emitted heavenly Tao aura, allowing Lu Ming to comprehend the chaotic domain even faster. Lu Ming closed his eyes and quietly comprehended. Previously, Lu Ming had traveled the world for a full year and was in harmony with nature. During that year, although Lu Ming's cultivation progress was very slow, his chaotic domain had already reached the peak of level 6 and could break through at any time. Furthermore, Lu Ming was in harmony with nature, so his comprehension speed was faster. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Lu Ming's chaotic domain suddenly shook and became stronger and more condensed. The chaotic domain had broken through and reached level 7. A level 7 domain was already considered a domain controlled by a high-level martial emperor. However, Lu Ming did not stop. His previous accumulation was too strong. It was like a flood that flowed out of a dam. The chaotic domain was improving rapidly. As for the heavenly Tao stones, Lu Ming took them out one after another. After another 2 days, Lu Ming's chaotic domain reached the peak of level 7 in one go. With this breakthrough, the chaotic domain directly increased by an entire level. The speed was shocking. Of course, this was because Lu Ming had been accumulating for a year. Now that he had suddenly erupted, the speed was naturally shocking. Later on, after the eruption, his cultivation speed would return to normal. After the breakthrough in the chaotic domain, it was time to make a breakthrough in cultivation. Lu Ming took out a large number of mid-grade origin stones and erupted with devouring power, starting to devour and refine them. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Lu Ming's cultivation skyrocketed until it reached the peak 7th layer martial dominator realm, which was on par with the chaos domain. Lu Ming had officially stepped into the ranks of high-level martial emperors. His battle prowess had greatly increased. The increase in Lu Ming's cultivation brought about an increase in his battle prowess. As his true essence increased, his spirit body would become more condensed and stronger. Moreover, his soul force would also become stronger as his cultivation increased. Furthermore, due to the difficulty of raising the primal chaos domain, the might of the primal chaos domain would soar every time it was raised. At the same time as one's cultivation rose, one would be able to better utilize the prowess of a saint artifact. Therefore, Lu Ming's cultivation increased by 1 level, and his battle prowess skyrocketed. Currently, if Lu Ming were to fight against a peak 8th layer martial dominator realm genius like Yun Kai, he was confident that he would be able to defeat him in an instant. It's time for me to go out and find experts to spar with. Only then will I be able to break through faster. Blindly going into seclusion has lost the meaning of coming to the 100-tribe battlefield. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before exiting the mountain and river diagram. He transformed the chaos domain into the earth domain and rushed out of the mountain, flying towards the depths of the 100-race battlefield. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ming had not flown far when he saw a few figures cutting through the void and flying in one direction. Someone glanced at Lu Ming from afar, ignoring Lu Ming's presence. They are all experts, 9th layer martial dominator realm experts. Lu Ming murmured and continued to move forward. However, Lu Ming encountered several batches of people consecutively and they were flying in the same direction. Isn't it too much of a coincidence that so many people are flying in the same direction? Or is there something attracting them in that direction? Lu Ming pondered. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At that instant, Lu Ming saw another 3 figures flying in the same direction. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming immediately withdrew his aura and landed on the ground. He used the trees to cover the mountain and followed the group from afar. An hour later, they arrived at a vast mountain range. The 3 figures suddenly came to a stop and nodded at one another before descending and disappearing. Lu Ming soared into the sky and appeared in the sky above where the few of them had been standing earlier. He looked down. Below him was a huge boulder, but he could see a well-hidden crack among the boulders. It was difficult to see it without taking a closer look. At that moment, those silhouettes had already disappeared. Could it be that those people had entered the crack? Lu Ming summoned the black feathered wings with a thought. Following this, his figure was encapsulated by the chaotic domain as he descended toward the crack. The crack continued to extend downward. It was pitch black, but as Lu Ming continued to descend, the crack became bigger and wider. There's another world inside the crack? Lu Ming stood in the air and glanced downward. Below him was a boundless land. With the dim light he could barely see the mountains and rivers. Lu Ming landed on a mountain and scanned his surroundings. What came into view were huge mountains, but there was no vegetation. There were only black rocks and mud everywhere. Could it be that the people he saw before are all here? Lu Ming pondered. The 100 Tribes battlefield took place in the ancient times. Countless experts participated in the battle, and countless experts died in the battle, forming a strange place. Those strange places usually had great opportunities, but they were also accompanied by risks. Kill? Suddenly, a strong wind blew behind Lu Ming, attacking Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He dodged the attack with a flicker and turned around. What is this? Such a strong demonic aura. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The one attacking him was a tall and muscular monster covered in black bone spikes. It had a humanoid figure and was holding a battle axe in its hand. Its body was emitting a strong demonic aura. Kill? The monster uttered human words and roared, pouncing toward Lu Ming. 6th layer martial dominator realm, die. Lu Ming lashed out a punch with the force of the hell-suppressing heaven art. Bang. The monster's strength was equivalent to the 6th layer martial dominator realm. Its body exploded as soon as it was struck by Lu Ming's punch. However, this monster did not have a body of flesh and blood. After its body exploded, it turned into a cloud of demonic aura and kept tumbling in the air. It then condensed into the appearance of the monster and charged toward Lu Ming with a roar. Since it's made of demonic aura, I shall erase your demonic aura. Lu Ming immediately unleashed his chaotic domain. The monster's body was shattered once again, turning into a demonic aura. However, the demonic aura reappeared and transformed into the appearance of the monster, although its aura was slightly weakened. What kind of monster is this? Even the chaotic domain can only erase its aura slightly. It's impossible to kill it. Lu Ming was astounded. Chapter 1598. This monster was even more difficult to deal with than those martial artists who cultivated natural spiritual bodies. When those martial artists who cultivated natural spiritual bodies were attacked, their bodies would turn into natural elements to reduce the damage. However, as long as they were strong enough, they could still continuously destroy the opponent's spiritual body. However, this monster seemed to be unable to be destroyed by pure strength. Even the chaotic domain had little effect on it. No, this monster has a core. It's right between its eyebrows. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he scattered the monster again, he discovered that there was a black crystal between the monster's eyebrows. It was surrounded by demonic chi. He had not discovered it before. Moreover, the scattered demonic chi had gathered there to reform the monster's body. Lu Ming stepped forward and clawed out. Like a dragon's claw, his claw pierced through the monster's eyebrows and grabbed the crystal. Then Lu Ming retreated and took out the crystal. Lu Ming looked and saw that there was a black crystal in his hand. There was a layer of black demonic fire on the crystal. There's a trace of spirituality on the crystal. Interesting. Extinguish. Lu Ming muttered and poured his true essence into the crystal. The demonic fire on the crystal was extinguished. Bang. When the demonic fire on the crystal was extinguished, the monster's body exploded and turned into demonic chi. It dissipated between heaven and earth and could no longer reform. This crystal was the core. Could this be the legendary demonic fiend crystal? Looking at the crystal in his hand, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Demonic fiend crystal was a very precious treasure. It could only be born in places with extremely dense demonic chi. The greatest function of the demonic fiend crystal was to temper the soul. Through the tempering of the demonic fiend crystal, a martial artist's soul power would constantly improve. There's actually a demonic fiend crystal in this place. Lu Ming's eyes became brighter and brighter. Lu Ming cultivated the divine sword art. The demonic fiend crystal was of great use to him. Because of the world-refining calamity bell, Lu Ming's soul power was dozens of times stronger than other martial practitioners at the same level. Lu Ming's current soul power was even stronger than a warrior at the peak of the 9th level of the martial royal realm. His soul power was even close to that of a half-saint. With such a strong soul power, the divine sword art could directly tear apart the soul of a martial artist of the same level, causing the opponent's soul to scatter. Even a martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the martial royal realm would be greatly affected, and their combat strength would be greatly reduced. Even half-saints could be affected by Lu Ming's soul attack and their fighting strength would be weakened. If Lu Ming's soul power continued to improve and reach the level of a half-saint, Or even stronger, he could directly tear apart a half-saint soul when using the holy sword technique. This would greatly enhance Lu Ming's battle strength. Moreover, it was said that the more powerful a martial artist was, the more they focused on their soul. It was said that after one's cultivation reached a certain level, the soul was extremely important to a martial artist. Therefore, the value of Demon Fiend crystals in the market was shockingly high. Are there any more Demon Fiend crystals in this place? After Lu Ming put away the Demon Fiend crystals, his figure flashed and he directly rushed down the mountain and landed on a rugged place with strange rocks. As soon as Lu Ming landed, a loud roar resounded and a giant tiger pounced on Lu Ming. This giant tiger was pitch black and had a surging demon chi. It was also at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch and the gigantic tiger exploded. Just like the humanoid demonic creature previously, the demonic aura surged and the gigantic tiger's body condensed again. Sure enough. Just now, Lu Ming had indeed seen a crystal between the giant tiger's eyebrows. Kill? Lu Ming stepped forward and his claw pierced through the giant tiger's eyebrows and grabbed the crystal. Demon Fiend crystal. It was really a Demon Fiend crystal. There was also a layer of demon fire on it, which was extinguished by Lu Ming. As for the giant tiger, it turned into demon chi and dissipated. Haha, this is really a land of treasures. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His figure flickered as he began to search for demonic creatures. After a few miles, another demonic creature appeared. It was a giant wolf, also at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. Lu Ming grabbed the Demon Fiend crystal between its eyebrows and continued to move forward. For more than 10 miles, Lu Ming did not see any demonic creatures. However, after 10 miles, continuous roars could be heard as 6 demonic creatures pounced on him. One of them was at the 8th level of the martial royal realm. 2 of them were at the 7th level of the martial royal realm and the other 3 were at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. The 6 demonic creatures attacked at the same time, which was extremely powerful. Lu Ming cast the wind element skill and his figure flashed. He killed a 6th level martial emperor demonic creature with one move and grabbed the demon crystal. At the same time he flapped his black wings and scattered the other demonic creatures, turning them into demonic aura. However, they condensed again the next moment. Lu Ming continued to attack. The Demon Fiend crystals of the other 2 6th level martial royal realm demonic creatures were grabbed by Lu Ming and stored in the mountain and river diagram. Then he pounced on a 7th level martial royal realm demonic creature and clawed at it. The demonic creature let out a roar and twisted its head to dodge Lu Ming's attack. However, Lu Ming's claw landed on its body, which exploded into pieces but quickly recondensed. Pretty smart. Lu Ming murmured as he continued to grab the other 2 demonic creatures. The 2 demonic creatures were also very smart. They protected their heads very well and did not let Lu Ming grab them. As for their bodies, they allowed Lu Ming to bombard them. These demonic creatures were even more difficult to deal with than cultivators of the same level. As long as they protected their heads, they would attack the other parts of their bodies. If it weren't for Lu Ming's outstanding strength, he would have been in trouble. 9 seals of the God Gate. Let's see how you're going to escape. Lu Ming performed a hand seal, causing 7 doors of the seal to appear in the sky. Lu Ming was now able to summon 7 doors of the seal. The 7 doors of the seal emitted a blinding glow, which instantly froze the 3 demonic creatures in place. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he grabbed the Demon Fiend crystals of the 3 demonic creatures. He then used his true force to erase the presence of the crystals. The 6 demonic creatures turned into demonic chi and dissipated into the air. The higher the cultivation of the demonic creature, the better the quality of the Demon Fiend crystal. Lu Ming inspected the 7th layer martial royal realm and the 8th layer Demon Fiend crystal in his hand, and discovered that their quality was indeed better than the 6th layer martial royal realm demonic creatures. Lu Ming put them away and continued to move forward. There seemed to be a large number of demonic creatures in this place. As Lu Ming moved forward, he constantly encountered demonic creatures. The highest level ones were equivalent to 9th layer martial royal realm demonic creatures. The higher the level, the stronger the strength, and the harder it was to capture the Demon Fiend crystal. However, Lu Ming had the 9 seals of the God Gate, which could seal the movements of the demonic creatures, making it more convenient. In the end, Lu Ming even asked Bubbles to help. With Bubbles' spacetime domain, it was easy to seal the demonic creatures. Lu Ming was like a harvester harvesting the Demon Fiend crystals. Half a day later, Lu Ming had obtained more than 100 Demon Fiend crystals. Chapter 1599. Inside a cave, a pagoda was floating above Lu Ming's head. A space-time domain was emitted from the pagoda, and a transparent bubble was formed, trapping a ninth-layer martial dominator realm demonic creature. Lu Ming grabbed the demonic creature's demon crystal with his claw. It's so convenient with Bubble's help. Lu Ming's face was filled with smiles. Bubble was hiding inside the pagoda. As Lu Ming's cultivation improved, the people he came into contact with were also stronger. Many people would be able to recognize Bubble at a glance. A young space-time spirit mouse was priceless and extremely tempting. If it was targeted by some powerful existences, Lu Ming would be in danger. Therefore, when Lu Ming asked Bubble to come out to help, he would let Bubble enter the pagoda. This way many people would think that the pagoda only had the space-time domain. Although the pagoda with the space-time domain was precious, it still had some functions. Since it could not be upgraded, some powerful existences would not be interested in it. However, if it was a space-time spirit mouse, it would be completely different. After being trained, it would be able to defy the heavens in the future. This was the real top 10 battle beast. Lu Ming naturally had to be cautious. After obtaining the demon crystal, Lu Ming exited the cave and continued to move forward. This area was very spacious. Until now, Lu Ming had not encountered anyone else. Not long after, Lu Ming obtained a few more demon crystals. At this moment, Lu Ming heard a series of roars coming from ahead. They were all the cries of demonic creatures. Judging from the sound, there were a lot of them. Let's go. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he rushed toward the direction of the sound. After going around 2 mountains, Lu Ming saw a large group of demonic creatures besieging 4 young men. It's them, what a coincidence. Lu Ming squinted his eyes. The 4 young men were Yun Shi, Yun Kai and the others. They must have seen the others coming in this direction, so they followed. At least hundreds of monsters were besieging Yun Shi and the others. With Yun Shi and the others' battle prowess, it was easy for them to fight across realms, so they weren't afraid of these demonic creatures. However, with so many demonic creatures, it wouldn't be so easy to obtain the demon crystals. Damn, these monsters are too cunning. They always avoid the head, so we can't get the demon fiend crystals. Yun Kai cursed. If there were a small number of monsters, they could besiege them and get the demon crystals, but there were too many monsters on the scene. Moreover, you can't directly shatter the monster's head. That way the demon fiend crystals inside will also be shattered. That way wouldn't it be a waste? Yun Shi's group of 4 continued to attack. Demonic creatures were constantly being blasted apart, but as soon as these demonic creatures were blasted apart, other demonic creatures would rush over and attack Yun Shi's group, making it so that they had no time to pursue and seize the demon fiend crystals. After fighting for a while, they didn't even get a single demon crystal. At this time Lu Ming stepped out and walked out. It's you, Lu Ming? Yun Shi, Yun Kai and the others were astonished when they saw Lu Ming walk out. Lu Ming, you're actually still alive. Looks like your luck isn't bad. The Thousand Slayer Manor hasn't found you during this time. Yun Kai sneered. Lu Ming glanced at Yun Kai indifferently. Lu Ming directly ignored this kind of person. When Lu Ming appeared, a group of demonic creatures changed direction and rushed toward Lu Ming. Almost all of them were 6th or 7th level Martial Emperor realm demonic creatures. 9 Divine Gate Seals. Lu Ming formed hand seals and 7 Divine Gate Seals appeared, sealing 7 demonic creatures. Then his figure flickered and 7 demon fiend crystals appeared in Lu Ming's hand. So easy. Yun Shi, Yun Kai and the others were dumbfounded. Especially Yun Kai, who revealed a jealous expression. More demonic creatures rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming formed another Divine Gate Seal and this time Bubble assisted Lu Ming. A large number of demonic creatures were frozen, unable to move. Lu Ming walked leisurely as if he was picking fruits in his own backyard. His claws reached out and demon fiend crystals were grabbed by Lu Ming. The demonic creatures turned into demonic chi and dissipated. Then Lu Ming rushed toward the demonic creatures that were besieging Yun Shi and the others. He repeated the same trick. Soon, more than 100 demonic creatures all turned into demonic aura and dissipated. The demon crystals all entered Lu Ming's mountain river diagram. Yun Shi and the others were stunned. Damn it. Yun Kai's eyes were filled with the flames of jealousy. They had worked hard to obtain a single demon fiend crystal, but Lu Ming had easily obtained more than 100 demon fiend crystals. His speed was many times faster than theirs. Lu Ming, these demonic creatures were attracted by us. It's too unkind of you to take action halfway. Why don't you take out some demon fiend crystals and share them with us? Yun Kai's gaze shifted as he sneered. You guys attracted them? Ridiculous, this area is full of demonic creatures. How can you say you attracted them? Moreover, I saved you guys. You don't thank me for saving you, but you want me to share your demon fiend crystals. You're really thick-skinned. Lu Ming mocked. Yun Kai coldly snorted, his face was a little ugly. Then his eyes shifted again, revealing a fake smile. Lu Ming, you came from Cloud Emperor Mountain, so you're originally part of our team. How about you return to the team now? We'll take the demon fiend crystals together and divide them equally. How about it? Lu Ming's face revealed a sneer, looking at Yun Kai as if he was looking at an idiot. This Yun Kai was not only thick-skinned but also shameless. Previously he was afraid of being hunted by Thousand Slayer Manor, so he chased Lu Ming away. Now, after seeing Lu Ming's shocking efficiency in seizing the demon fiend crystals, he wanted Lu Ming to return to the team. Moreover, he even proposed to divide the demon fiend crystals equally. How ridiculous was that? Lu Ming's lips curled into a mocking smile. Sure, but after we leave this place we'll still be a team. We'll travel together. How about it? This. Yun Kai immediately stiffened. What a joke, after leaving this place, Lu Ming would continue to be with them. If the assassins of Thousand Slayer Manor came, then wouldn't they have to die with Lu Ming? How could that be possible? Yun Kai's gaze shifted again. All right, sure. Although he said so, he was thinking in his heart that he would first stabilize Lu Ming, and after obtaining a large amount of demon fiend crystals and leaving this place, he would kick Lu Ming away. Haha, I was just joking with you just now. You believe me? Lu Ming laughed loudly, the ridicule in his voice was even thicker. Lu Ming, Yun Kai was furious, knowing that he was fooled by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had no intention of returning to the team. Brr, brr. At this moment, a series of roars came from a nearby canyon. The ground shook as a group of demonic creatures charged over ferociously. There are so many demonic creatures here. Chapter 1600. Lu Ming cooperated with Bubble and harvested the demon crystals from the demonic creatures. Yun Kai's eyes turned red with jealousy. He roared angrily and wanted to grab the demon crystals. However, after fighting with a demonic creature for a long time, he only managed to get one. Lu Ming had already obtained nearly 100 demon crystals. More than 100 demonic creatures had rushed out of the canyon. In the blink of an eye there were only a dozen left. At this moment, a few young men flew over from the sky. As soon as the young men arrived, they were attracted by Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming was using the 9 seals of the Divine Gate. 7 sealing doors had sealed 7 demonic creatures and seized 7 demon crystals. What a powerful sealing technique. One of the young men's eyes lit up. At this moment, Lu Ming also noticed the young men in the sky. He used the sealing doors again to seal the remaining demonic creatures and seize the demon crystals. Then he moved and was about to leave. However, in the sky, the figures of the few young men flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. What can I do for you? Lu Ming asked coldly. Nothing. We think your sealing technique is good, so we want to cooperate with you. One of the young men with short hair said with a faint smile. The aura of a LV9 Martial Royal Realm was released and locked onto Lu Ming. Cooperation? I'm not interested. I prefer to be alone. Lu Ming rejected directly. After being rejected by Lu Ming, the young man with short hair said in a threatening tone, Kid, you're only a LV7 Martial Royal Realm cultivator. You'd better understand the situation. As soon as he finished speaking, his aura became stronger and formed a terrifying pressure that pressed down on Lu Ming. The threat was self-evident. At the same time, the other 3 young men also released their auras and pressed down on Lu Ming. One of them was at the peak of LV9 Martial Royal Realm and 2 were at the peak of LV8 Martial Royal Realm. The 4 experts surrounded Lu Ming with gloomy eyes. Not far away, Yun Kai was gloating. Haha, this kid is too arrogant. Let's see how he's going to die now. Yunshi, this has nothing to do with us. You'd better not interfere. Yun Kai sneered and reminded Yunshi not to make a move. Yunshi frowned. However, there were 2 people in the 9th layer of the Martial Emperor realm. Even if she wanted to help, there was nothing she could do. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He looked around and coldly spat out a word, scram. The words caused the faces of the 4 young men to turn dark. Brat, if it weren't for the fact that you have some value, I would have slapped you to death right now. Now I'll give you 2 options. The first is to hand over the demon crystals on you and then obediently follow us and help us hunt for demon crystals. The second option is death. Which one will you choose? The short-haired youth said coldly. I choose the other 2 paths. Lu Ming said. Which 2? The short-haired young man was stunned and asked subconsciously. First, get lost immediately. Second, you die. Lu Ming said. The 4 young men were startled. Kid, you dare to trick us? Die. The short-haired young man's eyes emitted an icy murderous intent. A thunderous sword appeared in his hand as he slashed in Lu Ming's direction. Kill. Lu Ming uttered a roar as he unleashed the godly sword art to attack his opponent's soul. The short-haired young man halted his slash and uttered a roar. Whoosh. Lu Ming held the black dragon spear in his hand and nailed the short-haired young man to the ground. Since the battle was about to begin, Lu Ming would not show any mercy. He immediately executed a thunderous blow to kill his opponent. The other three were stunned. They did not expect Lu Ming to be so terrifying, killing the short-haired young man with a single attack. The short-haired young man was a 9th-layer martial dominator realm expert, 2 layers higher than Lu Ming's cultivation, but he had been killed with a single attack. It was too late when the three reacted. The 7 sealed doors appeared around them. The terrifying sealing force made it difficult for them to move. They immediately unleashed their attacks in an attempt to destroy the doors of sealing. Kill. Following this, the godly sword art was unleashed and penetrated their bodies, causing their souls to feel as if they were being torn apart. Spare my life, the 3 young men screamed in terror. However, they were greeted with 3 terrifying spear glows from Lu Ming's spear. The spear glows penetrated the bodies of the 3 young men, killing them instantly. Lu Ming waved his hand and retrieved the storage rings of the 4 young men, before he glanced at Yun Kai coldly. Yun Kai's figure began to tremble as his heart turned cold, causing his face to turn pale. 4 experts, including a 9th-layer martial dominator realm expert, were instantly killed by Lu Ming without any chance to retaliate. With his strength, killing him would be a piece of cake. How is this Lu Ming so powerful? How is he so powerful? Yun Kai yelled in his heart. Lu Ming's strength was a lot stronger than the others, even though they both possessed a superior earthly spiritual body, which was difficult for him to accept. In fact, Lu Ming's strength was not much stronger than the short-haired young man's. Earlier on, the few of them had underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming's divine sword art and divine gate 9 seals complemented each other seamlessly. It was simply too amazing. As long as one's combat strength did not exceed Lu Ming's by too much, one would only die under Lu Ming's attacks. Lu Ming's 2 moves would not be effective against a half-saint. Lu Ming's current soul power was close to that of a half-saint. Although the godly sword art could shake a half-saint's soul, it would not be so serious that the half-saint could resist it. The 9 seals of the God's Gate would also be destroyed. However, a genius with a 9th-layer martial dominator realm superior earthly spiritual body could not resist Lu Ming's 2 moves. Lu Ming could indeed kill them easily. Lu Ming glanced at Yun Kai coldly, then he flapped his black wings and soared into the sky, leaving the place. Phew, after Lu Ming left, Yun Kai let out a long sigh. The pressure that Lu Ming gave him was too great. That brat. Yun Kai gritted his teeth. Brr, brr. At this moment, a few demonic creatures rushed out of the valley. Yun Shi and the others gathered their thoughts and fought with the demonic creatures. There were only a few demonic creatures, so it was not difficult for them to deal with them. Soon they had taken the demon crystals. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment there was another sound in the sky. 3 figures appeared in the sky, and a terrifying pressure pressed down on Yun Shi and the others. It's them, the geniuses of the Wan clan. Yun Kai said with a pale face. The 3 figures in the sky were the noble young men of the Wan clan and the 2 young men in purple robes. So you're from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Now hand over all your demon crystals. A young man in purple robes stepped out and said coldly. What? You want to rob us of our demon crystals? Yun Shi said angrily. If you don't give it to us, then die. Hurry up, we don't have time to talk nonsense with you. The young man in purple robes said. Yun Shi was furious, but there was nothing she could do. She looked at the noble young man in fear. That noble young man was definitely a terrifying figure, and the pressure he gave her was too great. Chapter 1601. In the end, Yun Shi and the others reluctantly took out all the demon crystals and handed them to the purple-clad young man. The purple-clad young man respectfully handed them to the noble young man. The noble young man put them away and was about to leave. Wait a minute. Yun Kai called out. The noble young man turned around, looked at Yun Kai and said indifferently, What? Do you want to die? No, it's my honor to be able to give my demon crystals to you all. I have an important piece of news to tell you all. There is one person who has at least several hundred demon crystals, or even more. Yun Kai hurriedly said. A few hundred? The noble young man's eyes revealed a fiery light. Boy, who has the ability to get a few hundred demon crystals. If you lie, you are courting death. Do you understand? A purple-clad young man said coldly. I'm definitely not lying. Several of us can testify that that person has mastered a sealing method. He can quickly seal the demons and then seize the demon crystal. This place is filled with dense demon chi that hasn't dissipated yet. It was caused by that person just now. Yun Kai said. Yun Kai Yun, she scolded him. She didn't expect Yun Kai to be so despicable as to push Lu Ming out. Yun Kai's eyes flashed with a sinister light, and he didn't look at Yun Shi. Yes, the demon chi here is indeed very dense. Who is that person? The noble young man said. You have all seen that person. He was with us before and was lucky enough to defeat one of you. His name is Lu Ming. Yun Kai hurriedly said. So it's him. The noble young man's eyes flashed sharply. You better not let me find out that you are lying to me. Tell me, which direction did he go? That direction. Yun Kai pointed in the direction Lu Ming had left. Let's go. The noble young man said. He took the two purple-clad young men and chased in the direction Lu Ming had left, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Yun Kai, you have gone too far. Lu Ming has no enmity with us. We came in together and let him leave alone. That's too much. Yun Shi looked at Yun Kai with disappointment. Why are you so anxious? Could it be that you have taken a fancy to that boy? Yun Kai sneered. Don't talk nonsense. Yun Shi blushed. That brat doesn't know what's good for him. He's so arrogant. I don't like him. He's just a man from the Tsang continent, yet he has to be respectful in front of Cloud Emperor Mountain. Otherwise he'll die. Yun Kai said coldly. His eyes were filled with jealousy. Yun Shi sighed. She was disgusted with Yun Kai. Yun Kai was too narrow-minded. Lu Ming naturally didn't know that the Wan family's geniuses were already looking for him. He was still searching for demonic creatures and seizing demon fiend crystals. Along the way he seized several dozen more demon fiend crystals. Right now he already had close to 300 pieces of demon fiend crystals on him. Of course, most of them were demonic demon crystals of the 6th layer of the Martial Emperor realm. There were even some demonic demon crystals of the 5th layer, 8th layer, and 9th layer. If he could refine it, his soul power would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. A demonic leopard was astonishingly fast. Seeing that it was no match for him, it actually broke into a run. This was a demonic creature at the peak of the 9th layer of the Martial Emperor realm. How could Lu Ming let it escape? Where do you think you're going? Lu Ming used the wind origin technique and the black feather wings to chase after the demonic leopard. However, when the demonic leopard ran, it was like a bolt of black lightning. Lu Ming couldn't catch up with it for a while. It seems that I have to find some time to cultivate a movement technique. The wind origin technique can't keep up with me anymore. Lu Ming thought to himself. As his cultivation increased, the wind origin technique gradually became insufficient. He had to cultivate a stronger martial technique. Bubble? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubble. Bubble's voice came from the pagoda floating above his head. Then a transparent bubble suddenly appeared and enveloped the demonic leopard within. The demonic leopard was instantly frozen. Lu Ming rushed over. His hand was like a dragon's claw. He grabbed the demonic leopard's head and pulled out a piece of demon crystal. True essence poured in and wiped out the spirituality on the demonic crystal. At this moment Lu Ming looked behind him. The sound of air breaking rang out as 3 figures appeared in Lu Ming's line of sight. It's them? Lu Ming frowned slightly. The 3 people who appeared were the 3 from the Wan clan. We finally found this guy. A purple-clad youth smiled. After a few breaths, the 3 from the Wan clan appeared in front of Lu Ming. 2 of the purple-clad youths flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. What? You lost one last time and now you want someone else to fight? Lu Ming frowned and said coldly. Kid, you defeated me last time because I was careless. The purple-robed young man who had been defeated by Lu Ming previously spoke with a gloomy expression and continued, Lad, I heard that you have a large number of demon crystals in your hands and even know a sealing method. Now hand over all your demon crystals and follow us to hunt for demon crystals. In this way we can spare your life. They're here for my demon crystals and sealing technique. But how do these people know that I have a large amount of demon crystals? Lu Ming's eyes were cold. These people didn't see him hunting a large number of demonic creatures. I think you're mistaken. I'm alone. How can I have a large amount of demon crystals? Since I entered here, I've only obtained a few pieces. If you want it, I'll give it to you. Moreover, I don't know any sealing technique. Lu Ming said. Kid, don't try to quibble. It was said by a kid who was with you before. How can it be wrong if your own people said it? A purple-clad youth sneered. Own people. Yun Kai. Lu Ming's heart moved. He guessed that it must be Yun Kai who said it. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with a cold, murderous intent. Yun Kai had always been against him. It seemed like he would have to kill him if he had the chance. Previously, he had taken the teleportation formation of the Cloud Emperor Mountain to enter this place. Therefore, he would most likely have to pass through the Cloud Emperor Mountain to leave this place. Therefore, he had been merciful to Yun Kai. However, it seemed like it was useless to be merciful, as Yun Kai would only become more ruthless. Therefore, Lu Ming would have to eliminate him if he had the chance. Kid, now you have nothing to say. Hand it over and come with us. Help us seal the demonic creatures. A purple-clad youth snapped. All right, I'll hand it over, Lu Ming said. Saying this, a storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand and he threw it at the young man. The noble young man instinctively reached out to catch it. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. He dashed toward the purple-clad youth with a cultivation of the 8th layer martial dominator realm and threw a punch at his opponent. You. The young man did not expect Lu Ming to attack all of a sudden. He let out a roar and tried his best to resist the attack. However, he was only able to unleash half of his strength in such a short time, thus there was no way he could resist Lu Ming's attack. The purple-clad youth was shattered into pieces under Lu Ming's punch. How bold die. Chapter 1602. Buzz. A magical fluctuation was emitted from the pagoda above Lu Ming's head. Bubble made his move by encapsulating Lu Ming with the spacetime domain. Lu Ming dodged the attack with a flicker. Meanwhile, the young man scanned the storage ring that Lu Ming had thrown at him with his spiritual sense and discovered that it was empty. He knew that he had been tricked by Lu Ming. Die now. A spot of light lit up in the palm of the noble young man. A combat sword flew out and slashed toward Lu Ming. That power was extremely terrifying. In the face of this sword, Lu Ming only had one thought, and that was that he was no match for it. This young man was definitely a half-martial sacred, a terrifying one at that. Whoosh. The black wings appeared and flashed rapidly. With a swoosh, Lu Ming dashed to the right, avoiding the sword gleam of the noble young man. You won't be able to escape. The young man's eyes were as cold as a saber. Lu Ming, a mere 7th layer martial dominator, dared to trick him and kill the people of the Wan clan right in front of him. He had already sentenced Lu Ming to death in his heart. His figure seemed to have transformed into a godly weapon as he chased after Lu Ming. Buzz. At that instant, the pagoda above Lu Ming's head emitted a magical fluctuation as a spacetime passage was formed. The spacetime passage did not lead to the front, but to the back where another young man in a purple robe was. Lu Ming stepped into the passage and appeared not far away from the other young man. Kill? Lu Ming yelled as the godly sword technique burst out and penetrated the young man's soul. The young man let out a cry of agony. Lu Ming took advantage of the opportunity and killed the young man in a purple robe with a punch. He then took the opportunity to rob the young man of his storage ring. Since they had become enemies, Lu Ming would not show any mercy. How bold! Seeing that Lu Ming had killed yet another purple-clad youth, the noble youth's rage soared to the heavens. His killing intent was incomparably strong. Suddenly, 8 light dots lit up on his body, and 8 weapons flew out from the 8 light dots. The terrifying battle weapon chi wreaked havoc in the air. Saint weapons, all of them were saint weapons. In addition to the battle sword in front, there were 9 weapons, all of which were saint weapons. When the battle weapon chi of the 9 holy weapons merged, their might was unimaginably terrifying. Lu Ming felt a chill run down his spine as he felt a fatal threat. Bubbles, let's go. Lu Ming's black wings flapped as he frantically retreated. Next, Bubble took action and a spacetime tunnel was formed. Lu Ming rushed in. Stay here and kill. The noble young man roared. His battle sword slashed out, creating a terrifying fluctuation in the void. Boom. The terrifying sword light slashed at the spacetime tunnel, destroying spacetime and destroying everything. The spacetime tunnel trembled violently before collapsing. Lu Ming was only halfway through when he was blasted out of the spacetime tunnel. What terrifying combat strength. Even the spacetime tunnel can be destroyed. Let's go. Lu Ming executed the wind origin technique. Energy continuously poured into the air-frozen pearl. His black wings flapped wildly as Lu Ming turned into a streak of light and flew forward rapidly. Clang. Behind him, the saint weapon vibrated. The noble young man turned into a streak of sword light and chased after Lu Ming. His speed was shockingly fast, surpassing Lu Ming's speed. He was rapidly closing the distance between the two. What shocking speed. Then let me take you to a place. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He slowly changed his direction and flew toward a large mountain. The noble young man chased after him relentlessly. In the blink of an eye they had crossed a long distance. The distance between Lu Ming and the noble young man was getting closer and closer. "You will die today." The noble young man's cold voice came from behind. "You sound very confident. But how did I kill your two subordinates?" Lu Ming's mocking voice made the noble young man's killing intent even stronger. "Brr, brr." A terrifying roar came from ahead. Demonic chi soared into the sky. "Here we are." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he was hunting demonic creatures, he passed by here and found that there were terrifying demonic creatures gathered. He saw a few at random and found that they were all at the half-step saint level. So he bypassed them. Now he could make use of these demonic creatures to stop the noble young man. Whoosh! Lu Ming flew toward the place where the roar came from. In the next moment, a huge valley appeared in front of Lu Ming. In the valley, there were terrifying demonic creatures wandering around. They roared from time to time. Their power was shocking and there was a faint saint aura in the air. At a glance there were at least a dozen demonic creatures. They were all at the half-step saint level. Lu Ming rushed into the valley without hesitation. Brr, brr, brr. Suddenly these demonic creatures went berserk. Demonic chi billowed and they roared like thunder. They charged toward Lu Ming. Bam! A demonic creature that looked like a giant wolf slapped Lu Ming with its paw. Lu Ming's body shattered like glass. It was a shadow. Lu Ming's body had appeared on the other side. Bubble wrapped Lu Ming in the space-time domain. Lu Ming's body flashed rapidly as if he was shuttling through space-time. He avoided the attacks of these half-step saint demonic creatures and went deeper into the valley. "Do you think you can stop me with these demonic creatures?" "Ridiculous. Kill." The noble young man's cold voice sounded. He also rushed into the valley. 9 saint weapons circled around his body, and a terrifying battle weapon chi gathered. A sword light slashed out, and a half-saint demonic beast's body was shattered, and it turned into a cloud of rolling devil chi. Then the noble young man punched with his other hand. The noble young man's fist seemed to have turned into a divine weapon. There was nothing it couldn't break. Boom! A half-step saint demonic creature was blown away by a punch. He reached out and grabbed a piece of demon fiend crystal. How powerful! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The noble young man's strength was beyond his imagination. Although they were all half-step saints, those demonic creatures were no match for the noble young man. They were all killed in one move. The noble young man's every move contained the power of the law. Obviously, the noble young man had comprehended the law. There were strong and weak half-step saints. According to the realm, the half-step saint was mainly divided into 3 stages. The first stage was to comprehend the ultimate domain, which was also a half-step saint. Above the 9th domain was the ultimate domain. As long as one comprehended the ultimate domain, one would be a half-step saint. The second stage was to comprehend the power of the law. After comprehending the law, one would be much more powerful than a first-stage saint. As for the third stage, it was the ultimate domain. At this stage, one was really only half a step away from the saint realm. As long as one could condense a saint heart and convert vital essence into saint power, one would enter the saint realm. With the ultimate domain, the spiritual body's power would reach a terrifying level, far surpassing the second stage. The noble young man should be in the second stage half-step saint. Bam! Bam! One by one, the half-step saint demonic creatures were blown apart by the noble young man. They turned into demonic chi and then condensed again. Chapter 1603. Brr, brr. At this moment, terrifying roars came from the depths of the valley. The earth shook as more than 20 demonic creatures rushed out. They were all half-saints, and some of them were equivalent to the second stage of half-saints. But no matter if it was the first or second stage of half-saints, they were all killed in one move by the noble youth. This person's combat strength was too strong. It had reached a terrifying level. With the help of Bubble, Lu Ming avoided the attacks of the demonic creatures and went deeper into the valley. Brr. An earth-shattering roar came out, and a demonic aura soared into the sky. Bang! Bang! Heavy footsteps could be heard as a huge creature walked out of the valley. It was a demonic bear. It was 100 meters tall like a small mountain. Every step it took made the ground rumble. Brr. The demonic bear roared and the wind howled. Terrifying Saint aura spread out. Saint Realm. This demonic bear was a genuine Saint Realm existence. The demonic bear slapped at Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming frantically retreated to the side of the valley. At the same time, a sacred weapon shield was placed in front of him. The black feather wings protected his body and Bubble's spacetime domain was added to Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming seemed to have traveled through time and space as he retreated. Boom. As the demonic bear's palms slammed down, the bubble space-time domain kept crumbling. In the end, it slammed into the sacred weapon shield. Then the sacred weapon shield slammed into the black wings. Lu Ming felt like he had been hit by a mountain. His body was like a cannonball and he crashed into the wall of the valley. With a boom he hit the wall and debris flew everywhere. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was pale. The existence of the Saint Realm was too terrifying. Lu Ming was too far away from it. Even with Bubble's help he couldn't avoid it. The space-time domain collapsed. However, the space-time domain blocked a large part of the demonic bear's power. Then with the Saint weapon shield and black wings, Lu Ming wasn't seriously injured. Is this the power of the Saint Realm? As the #1 genius of the Zhangzhou state, how powerful would the divine child be when he breaks through to the Saint Realm? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind as he felt an immense pressure. He didn't have much time left. There was less than a year and a half left until the next treasure pedestal meeting. He had to make breakthroughs as fast as possible during this period of time. After the demonic bear sent Lu Ming flying with a slap, it was as if it had swatted away a fly. After that, it no longer paid any attention to Lu Ming and charged towards the noble youth. In its eyes, the noble young man was the bigger threat. The demonic bear stomped on the ground and swept its mountain-like paw towards the noble youth. So what if you're in the Saint Realm? Fight! The noble young man roared. His battle-intent soared as his hair danced in the wind. His battle prowess was pushed to the limit. The aura of the 9 saint weapons gathered on the battle sword in his hand. He slashed out a resplendent sword light. Boom! The sword light and the demonic bear's paw clashed together, causing a terrifying boom. Horrifying energy overflowed and sent several half-saint demonic beasts flying, causing them to explode in the air. It was truly shocking. Just the aftermath alone was enough to scatter half-saint demonic beasts. Bang! 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 After the boom, the noble young man's body trembled. He stepped into the void and retreated 8 or 9 steps. The demonic bear's towering body was as still as a mountain. After all, the noble young man was no match for the Saint Realm demonic beasts. It was too difficult for a non-saint saint to fight a saint. The gap was too big. The demonic bear roared and continued to step forward, slapping at the noble young man. The noble young man's aura grew stronger and stronger. 3 more light spots lit up in his body and 3 more saint weapons flew out. A total of 12 saint weapons floated around him. The aura of the saint weapons was extremely powerful. Suddenly, a shadow appeared in the void above the noble young man's head. Countless weapons danced in the air within the shadow. It was a mysterious sight to behold. This is a vision of heaven and earth. This person really has a heavenly spiritual body. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Legend had it that the heavenly spiritual body was a person who was blessed by the heavens. It was extremely terrifying. Once they exerted their strength to the extreme, a vision of heaven and earth would appear in the sky. No wonder the heavenly spiritual body was so powerful. A superior earthly spiritual body was considered a prodigy, but compared to a heavenly spiritual body, it was a far cry. A heavenly spiritual body was blessed by the heavens. As long as they didn't die, they would have a chance to become an emperor. It was absolutely terrifying. In the younger generation of the Tsang state, there was no one with a heavenly spiritual body. Even the #1 deity in the Tsang state only had a superior earthly spiritual body. This noble young man was a prodigy who was more talented than the deity. It was just that his cultivation wasn't as strong as his body. Kill! The noble young man shouted. Around him, 11 saint weapons whizzed out and charged at the demonic bear. As for himself, he held a battle sword and charged at the demonic bear. Boom! 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 After a few consecutive blows, the noble young man was still at a disadvantage, but he was able to withstand the demonic bear's attack. A non-saint had the ability to fight a saint-level expert. It showed how terrifying a heavenly spiritual body was. Roar! At this time, more half-saint demonic creatures rushed out and wandered around, but they couldn't get close to the battle. A huge demonic tiger charged at Lu Ming. Let's fight. This time Lu Ming didn't dodge. Instead, he charged at the demonic tiger. The demonic tiger opened its bloody mouth and tried to swallow Lu Ming. Its mouth was so huge that it could swallow a house. Lu Ming didn't dodge and rushed into the demonic tiger's mouth. The moment he rushed in, Lu Ming's body entered the mountain and river diagram. Only the mountain and river diagram appeared in the demonic tiger's mouth. The mountain and river diagram was a treasure refined by an emperor-level expert. Even if it was swallowed by the demonic tiger, it was fine. Lu Ming spread out his spiritual consciousness and paid attention to the battle outside. At this time, the noble young man had already exchanged more than 10 blows with the demonic bear. He was gradually losing and was completely at a disadvantage. He was swallowed by the demonic tiger. The noble young man naturally saw the scene of Lu Ming being swallowed by the demonic tiger. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. He didn't believe that Lu Ming would die so easily. He guessed that he was hiding in the demonic tiger's body to avoid the other demonic creatures. Indeed, when Lu Ming entered the demonic tiger's body, the other demonic creatures all turned their attention to the noble young man. They surrounded the noble young man and stared at him covetously. "Humph, don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in a demonic creature's body. I'll kill you all the same." The noble young man's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was determined to kill Lu Ming. "Go." He raised his hand and among the 12 sacred weapons, a shield and a small mountain, rushed toward the demonic bear. His body flashed and rushed toward the demonic tiger that had swallowed Lu Ming. Chapter 1604. The demonic tiger roared and pounced at the noble youth. However, the noble youth slashed out with his sword and the demonic tiger's body collapsed, turning into a cloud of demonic chi. However, at this moment, the noble youth's pupils constricted. 2 figures appeared in the demonic chi. The 2 figures looked exactly the same. There were 2 Lu Ming. Of course, they were Lu Ming's overgod and second body. Suddenly, a transparent bubble appeared on the noble youth's body and enveloped him. "Space-time domain? Break." The noble youth roared. His body glowed and a terrifying aura of a battle weapon rushed out. With a bang, the transparent bubble was shattered. However, at this moment, 8 sealed doors appeared around him. Each of them emitted a dazzling light and a terrifying sealing power. They were about to seal the noble youth. Previously, Lu Ming had been using the 9 seals of the God's Gate continuously. Unknowingly, the 9 seals of the God's Gate had broken through and could condense 8 sealed doors at once. "Kill." At this moment, Lu Ming's main body roared. 2 terrifying sword rays shot out from his eyes and rushed into the noble youth's body, causing his body to tremble. "Tai Chi." At this moment, Ming Lian's second body whispered. A Tai Chi disc floated above his head and a huge Tai Chi pattern appeared, suppressing the noble youth. The Tai Chi disc contained a terrifying destructive and suppressive power. "Break, break, break." The noble youth roared. With a sword in one hand and a spear in the other, he attacked in all directions. Bang, bang. The 8 sealed doors continued to crumble. At this moment, the Tai Chi pattern pressed down, causing the noble youth's body to tremble violently. The true yuan that covered his body trembled. His body stiffened in the air. Brr. At this moment, the demonic bear had already arrived. It swung its paw at the noble young man. The slap landed directly on the noble youth's body. The noble youth screamed as his body was sent flying. He crashed heavily into the side of the valley, creating a huge crater. Bang. However, in the next moment, the noble youth rushed out of the crater. However, at this moment he was in an extremely sorry state. His clothes were tattered, revealing a golden armor underneath. His face was pale and he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. Just now he was struck by the power of the Taiji diagram and slapped by the demonic bear. In the end he was still heavily injured. "Brat, don't let me see you again. Otherwise I'll make you wish you were dead." The noble young man let out an unwilling roar, then turned into a beam of light, shot into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The demonic bear did not give chase. "This guy is really strong. Also, my soul force is still too weak." Lu Ming pondered. The series of attacks just now had failed to kill the noble young man. He used the divine sword art to attack the other party's soul. Although the other party was affected, he still retained a lot of strength, which was why he was able to escape. Otherwise, he would have been directly injured by the demonic bear's slap. Lu Ming's current soul power was equivalent to the first stage of a half-saint. For a half-saint who had comprehended the law, it didn't have much of an impact. Brr. At this moment, the demonic bear looked at Lu Ming with a tyrannical glint in its eyes. Buzz. At this moment, a buzzing sound came from behind Lu Ming, and the bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel appeared. The prison-suppressing steel specialized in suppressing evil spirits. Could it suppress these demonic creatures? Lu Ming decided to give it a try. The prison-suppressing steel expanded rapidly, emitting a dazzling light. Especially the word at the bottom, the light was even brighter. Brr. The demonic bear had a look of awe in its eyes. Then, it actually took off and rushed into the depths of the valley. The half-saint demonic creatures did the same. They all ran into the depths of the valley and disappeared. They really ran away? Lu Ming's face revealed a trace of a smile. The reason why he didn't summon the prison-suppressing steel before was that he was afraid of scaring away these demonic creatures. If that happened, who would help him block the noble young man? This valley has gathered so many powerful demonic creatures. There must be a secret. Let's go in and take a look. Lu Ming thought. Anyway, with the prison-suppressing steel to deter those demonic creatures, Lu Ming became bolder. Ming Lian's second body stepped out and disappeared between Lu Ming's eyebrows. It disappeared and went to cultivate in peace. Now that Ming Lian's second body was progressing very quickly, and he was getting closer and closer to igniting the ninth spirit lamp, he naturally had to seize the time to cultivate. The prison-suppressing steel floated above Lu Ming's head as he walked into the depths of the valley. The deeper he went, the larger and wider the valley became. So many bones. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes focused. He found that there were many bones in the valley ahead. These bones were of different shapes. Some were incomparably huge like small hills and some were very small. But each bone was as white as jade and emitted a fluorescent light. It could be seen that they were incomparably powerful existences when they were alive. Lu Ming restrained his aura and continued to move forward. In front of him, what came into view were bones of all kinds. In ancient times, there was a war of the 100 races. Could this be the burial ground of the 100 races? And those demonic creatures were mutated from these experts after they died? Lu Ming secretly guessed. Because the spiritual essence on these bones had been severely drained. Some of the bones had completely turned into dust. Obviously they had gone through a long period of time. Lu Ming saw a huge human skeleton. This skeleton was very strange. It was actually golden and the bones were 7 to 8 meters long. Could this be the legendary golden giant? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The giant clan was real, and the golden giant was the royal clan of the giants. It was extremely terrifying and was a natural warrior. Could this be the skeleton of a Qilin? In the next moment, Lu Ming saw a skeleton that looked very much like the legendary Qilin. Unfortunately, the spiritual essence on these bones had almost been drained, and they were no longer valuable. If the spiritual essence had not been drained, then the value of these bones would be amazing. Strange, in the War of the 100 Races, there would not be so many bones piled up together. They should be scattered everywhere. Could it be that someone specially gathered these corpses here? Lu Ming guessed. Then, are there any dragon bones here? Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In the War of the 100 Races, the dragon clan was most likely involved. If he could find some dragon bones, his dragon god battle body would be able to evolve. If he could break through the category of the earth spiritual body and evolve to the low-level heaven spiritual body, then Lu Ming's strength would skyrocket. Let's look for it. Lu Ming suddenly became excited. Although these bones had lost a lot of spiritual essence, as long as there was enough, it could still allow Lu Ming's dragon god battle body to evolve. Chapter 1605. All around, the roars of demonic creatures kept coming, but because of the prison-suppressing steel, these demonic creatures all stayed far away from Lu Ming. So many powerful demonic creatures, more than one Saint Realm demonic creature. Lu Ming sensed his surroundings and was secretly shocked. Here, he sensed several terrifying demonic creatures exuding powerful saint aura. Fortunately, he had the prison-suppressing steel to deter these demonic creatures. Otherwise, he would not have been able to walk in at all and would have been killed by the demonic creatures. That's a dragon bone. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he strode forward. A skeleton that was hundreds of meters long was lying on the ground, with 5 dragon claws under its abdomen. If it was not the skeleton of a real dragon, what was it? Lu Ming was overjoyed. There really was a dragon bone here. Sure enough, the loss of spiritual essence is very serious. Lu Ming walked to the side of the dragon bone, carefully sensed it and sighed slightly. Although this dragon bone was very large, there was not much spiritual essence left, and it would be difficult for his dragon god battle body to evolve. There should be more than one dragon bone here. Look again. Lu Ming began to search around. This place was very large, covered with bones, and the sky was filled with a faint demonic chi blocking vision. Lu Ming could only search slowly. Sure enough, not long after, Lu Ming found another dragon bone, which also had a serious loss of spiritual essence. Lu Ming dragged this dragon bone to the previous one and put the 2 dragon bones together. Then he continued to search. Half a day later, Lu Ming found a total of 10 huge dragon bones. These dragon bones were definitely above the Saint Realm when they were alive, or even stronger than the Bright Saint Realm. But they all died in battle. After finding 10 dragon bones, Lu Ming walked around again, but did not find any new dragon bones. It seems that there are only these dragon bones here. 10 dragon bones should be enough. Lu Ming's eyes were full of anticipation, and he returned to the place where the dragon bones were piled. The 10 dragon bones were piled together like a small mountain. Immediately, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. His devouring power erupted and enveloped the pile of dragon bones. He devoured the spiritual essence within the dragon bones and began to cultivate the dragon god battle body. This was the most suitable place to cultivate. The prison-suppressing steel floated in the air, and those demonic creatures did not dare to come close. As for other martial artists, they definitely could not enter. It was the perfect place for seclusion. The essence of the dragon bone was constantly being devoured and refined by the power of swallowing, seeping into Lu Ming's spirit body. Lu Ming's body emitted a faint glow, and faint dragon roars could be heard. The spiritual essence of the dragon bone continued to gather in Lu Ming's body, seeping into the depths of his physical body. As long as it accumulated to a certain level, Lu Ming's spirit body would undergo a qualitative change, achieving an upgrade and stepping into a higher level. Just like that, Lu Ming cultivated wholeheartedly. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. A dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens, emanating from Lu Ming's body. The 10 true dragon bones were shaken by the dragon's roar, and immediately turned into ashes and scattered on the ground. The spiritual essence of the dragon bones had been completely absorbed by Lu Ming, and these dragon bones naturally turned into powder. At this time, the dragon's roar in Lu Ming's body grew louder and louder. Finally, in the void above Lu Ming's head, a huge phantom of 9 dragons appeared. The 9 dragons stepped on the void, roaming the outer space. Heaven and Earth Vision. The appearance of the Heaven and Earth Vision meant that Lu Ming's spirit body had officially entered the ranks of the heavenly spirit body. Whoosh! Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. His body soared into the air and he punched out. A terrifying fist force, accompanied by an ear-piercing whistle, blasted toward a demonic creature not far away. This demonic creature was directly sent flying by the fist force, and it slid a few hundred meters on the ground. Such power! A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. That demonic creature had the strength of a stage 1/2 saint. It was an ordinary demonic creature, but it was sent flying by Lu Ming's punch. Lu Ming's cultivation was still at the peak of the 7th level martial royal realm, but his combat strength had been greatly improved. He was much stronger than before. The heavenly spirit body was not comparable to the earthly spirit body at all. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the demonic creature. The prison-suppressing steel suppressed it. The demonic creature screamed, turned around and ran away. Well, forget it. These demonic creatures don't dare to fight me when I use the prison-suppressing steel here. But once I put it away, these demonic creatures will attack me together. Lu Ming was somewhat depressed. He had wanted to see if he could see some demonic demon crystals of the half-saint level, but it seemed that he had to give up. It's been half a month. It's time to leave. I can't just hide in one place and cultivate. Lu Ming thought and then walked out of the valley. He had enough demon fiend crystals on him, enough to use for some time. Soon he came out of the valley and put away the prison-suppressing steel. He spread his black wings and flew toward the exit of this area. On the way he found some other people who were still hunting for demonic demon crystals here. Lu Ming did not stop. He spread his black wings and flew past the ground below at an astonishing speed. Soon Lu Ming saw the exit. It was the crack that he had entered from. Lu Ming directly flew out of the crack. Just as Lu Ming flew out of the crack, his pupils constricted. He sensed a terrifying danger descending upon him all of a sudden. Whoosh! A slight wave was directed at Lu Ming's throat. The terrible sharpness made Lu Ming's muscles tense up. Boom! Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming threw an uppercut upward. Boom! This punch seemed to have hit a long sword. With a hum, the long sword was deflected by Lu Ming's punch. However, the terrifying sharpness still left a bloody mark on Lu Ming's neck. Moreover, there were strands of terrifying sword chi that followed Lu Ming's fist and poured into Lu Ming's arm. Lu Ming's arm muscles trembled and destroyed the sword chi. Whoosh! Whoosh! The slight sound of air being torn apart sounded again. The terrifying sharpness was directed at Lu Ming's vital points. Retreat! Lu Ming's figure retreated rapidly. He retreated from the crack and returned to the world below, standing in the void. People from the Thousand Slayer Manor. A sharp light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. The assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor had finally found him. You must die for killing people from my Thousand Slayer Manor. A cold voice rang out. 2 figures appeared in front of Lu Ming. They were both dressed in black and exuded a cold murderous intent as well as a faint aura of sage. Half-saint. The two black-clothed figures were actually half-saint existences. The Thousand Slayer Manor really thinks highly of me. They actually sent out two half-saints. Lu Ming said. That's why no one can escape from my Thousand Slayer Manor. One of the black-clothed figures said coldly. Chapter 1606. Let's do it. The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand and the black wings spread out. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with intense battle intent. From the aura of the two assassins, it was obvious that they were first-stage half-saints who had grasped the ultimate domain. Lu Ming's spiritual body had just finished evolving, becoming an inferior heaven spiritual body. He wanted to test his battle prowess. Before his spiritual body evolved, Lu Ming was confident that he could fight an ordinary first-stage half-saint. What was an ordinary first-stage half-saint? It was an ordinary spiritual body or an inferior earth spiritual body that had broken through to the half-saint realm. However, the two assassins in front of him clearly had superior earth spiritual bodies. Their battle prowess was not something an ordinary half-saint could compare to. There is no need for the two of us to work together to kill a seven-stage martial king like you. I alone am enough. One of the black-clothed assassins stepped forward. A sword as thin as a cicada's wing was faintly discernible in his hand. As for the other assassin, he stood in the air without moving. Whoosh! The black-robed man in front of him moved. With a single movement, his figure disappeared in the air without leaving a trace. Whoosh! Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from behind Lu Ming. A sharp sword light pierced toward Lu Ming's back. What a fast speed. The assassin had just moved and he had already appeared behind Lu Ming. Such a terrifying assassination technique was indeed shocking. Buzz. The black dragon spear shook and swept behind. However, when the black dragon spear swept past, the sharp intent disappeared. In the next moment, a sharp intent appeared in front of Lu Ming. Before the terrifying sword chi could reach Lu Ming, it felt like it was going to tear Lu Ming apart. Whoosh! Lu Ming controlled the black wings and slashed forward like a heavenly blade. However, just like before, the black wings slashed through the air. The assassin had already disappeared in front of him. The assassin's speed was too fast. When he attacked, he was as fast as lightning. He could attack Lu Ming from all directions at any time. Whoosh! Whoosh! Ear-piercing sounds could be heard all of a sudden. They seemed to be attacking Lu Ming from all directions. For a moment, Lu Ming did not know which side was real and which was fake. Sweep! Lu Ming used the most overbearing method and swept the black dragon spear in all directions. However, when the spear swept past, there was no one. The assassination techniques of the Thousand Slayer Manor are indeed marvelous. However, they can hide their bodies but not their souls. He then closed his eyes and released his spiritual senses to sense the other party's soul fluctuations. Over there. Suddenly, Lu Ming sensed an obscure soul fluctuation. Without any hesitation, he became one with his spear and charged in that direction. Clang. The sound of metal clashing could be heard as a black figure emerged and retreated in the void. You're only a 7th layer martial dominator, but your soul force is pretty strong. You were able to locate me through the ripples of my soul. The black-robed man spoke, seeming a little surprised. Your concealment technique is useless against me, Lu Ming said. Haha, I was just testing my strength. Since my concealment technique is useless, I'll kill you head-on. The assassin laughed coldly. His murderous intent grew stronger. Whoosh! The man in black moved and pounced on Lu Ming. He was as fast as a black stream of light, leaving behind a series of afterimages. The terrifying sword aura cut through the void and pierced toward Lu Ming. Since concealment was not enough, he would attack head-on. Lu Ming showed no fear. The roar of a dragon could be heard from his body as he stabbed forward with the spear in his hand. Clang! The spear and the sword clashed. Lu Ming could feel a terrifying destructive force from his opponent's sword, which surged toward him along the black dragon spear. Lu Ming circulated his true force and chaotic domain to resist the force. The two figures backed away at the same time. Ultimate sky-shattering domain. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. His opponent's domain had surpassed the 9th grade domain and reached the ultimate domain. Furthermore, it was the sky-shattering domain with a shocking penetrating force. Kill? The man in black retreated and once again charged toward Lu Ming. Sword gleams filled the sky, as if many stars were shining. Lu Ming's spear vibrated, stabbing out spear shadows that constantly collided with his opponent. Dense sounds of collision rang out. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged dozens of blows. Whoosh! The assassin retreated rapidly like a phantom. He looked at Lu Ming with astonishment in his eyes. Clearly, he didn't expect Lu Ming's combat strength to be so terrifying. The other assassin who was watching the battle from afar also revealed a grave expression. Is that all you've got? That's all you've got? Lu Ming sneered. You actually have a heaven spiritual body. Could it be that you can kill a genius of my Thousand Slayer manner? But your cultivation is too weak. If your cultivation was 1 or 2 levels higher, I wouldn't be your opponent. But now you still have to die. The assassin said coldly. The sword in his hand emitted a strange black light. 1,000 slaying sword art, 10 steps slash. Whoosh. The assassin's figure instantly crossed the void. The terrifying sword light was like a flying immortal. In an instant he slashed out 10 times. The power of each slash was extremely terrifying. This was a terrifying killing technique that could kill with a single slash. Lu Ming's expression turned grave. His muscles bulged and the black dragon spear in his hand seemed to have transformed into a black dragon that roared out. Clang, clang. A series of collisions erupted. Terrifying sword chi flowed along the spear and surged into Lu Ming's body. However, they were all destroyed by Lu Ming's powerful physical body. 1,000 slaying sword art, 100 extermination. The terrifying sword light appeared again, even more shocking than before. 1 slash and 100 people were exterminated. Lu Ming roared. His battle-intent soared into the sky as he fought with his opponent. Puchi. A sword wound appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder. However, under Lu Ming's powerful spiritual body, it quickly healed. To be honest, the assassin's strength was indeed shocking. Most importantly, his cultivation was much higher than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming's cultivation was at the peak of the 7th layer martial royal realm, while his opponent's cultivation was only at the 1st stage half-saint realm. The difference between the peak of the 9th layer martial royal realm and the half-saint realm was not as simple as 1 layer. Therefore, the difference between the 1st stage half-saint realm and the 7th layer martial royal realm was too great. If his opponent was an ordinary half-saint, Lu Ming would be able to surpass him. However, his opponent was also a genius with a superior earthly spiritual body. After exchanging 100 blows, Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage. Not enough, far from enough. Lu Ming groaned in his heart. This kind of pressure was far from enough for him to unleash his full potential in a battle of life and death. He needed the kind of pressure that was close to death to unleash his potential and allow him to achieve a breakthrough quickly. Is this all you've got? How dare you say you're going to kill me? Ridiculous. Both of you come at me together. Lu Ming let out a roar as his battle intent grew stronger. How is this possible? The assassin found it hard to believe. With his cultivation of the half-saint realm, he could not even kill a 7th layer martial royal realm. Even if his opponent had a heavenly spiritual body, his combat strength could not be so strong that he could surpass so many levels to fight with him. Chapter 1607. Attack together. The black-clothed man roared. Swish. The other black-clothed man who was watching the battle moved and pounced towards Lu Ming. His sword light cut through the void and the terrifying sharpness seemed to want to tear Lu Ming apart. This person's cultivation was stronger than the previous black-clothed man. He was not far from the 2nd stage of the half-step saint realm and comprehending the laws. Kill? Lu Ming shouted. The divine sword art turned into a rolling sound wave and rushed out, slowing down the opponent's sword. At the same time, Lu Ming stabbed out with his spear and blocked the opponent's sword. 1,000 killing sword art, 1,000 miles of sky. The first black-clothed man once again displayed a terrifying killing technique. Thousands of sword light bloomed from his hand and the sword chi whistled in the sky. It was extremely terrifying. As the first black-clothed man slashed out with his sword, the sword light in the sky turned into a single ray and slashed towards Lu Ming. Danger. At this moment, Lu Ming felt a fatal danger. The sword light was too fast. It was so fast that Lu Ming couldn't block it even if he wanted to. Swish. His first reaction was to use the black wings to block in front of him. The opponent's sword light directly pierced the black wings. Sizzle, an ear-piercing sound rang out as sparks flew in all directions. His opponent's long sword actually pierced through the primal chaos domain covering the black wings. The black wings trembled as if they were about to be pierced through. Swish. Lu Ming retreated rapidly. To his shock, he discovered that there was indeed a small dent on the black wings. The black wings had been pierced. Even a saint weapon could be damaged. This showed how terrifying the opponent's attack was. Yes, this is the feeling. Lu Ming wasn't shocked. Instead, he was happy. This was the feeling he wanted, the feeling of being in danger. Swish. At this moment, the second black-clothed man also launched a terrifying attack towards him. Then the first black-clothed man continued to attack Lu Ming. Dragon roars resounded. The black dragon spear in Lu Ming's hand danced and swept in all directions as he fought with the two black-clothed men. Facing the two black-clothed men, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage. However, Lu Ming didn't ask Bubble for help, nor did he call out his second body. He didn't even use the chaotic flipping sky seal. Because what Lu Ming wanted was to stimulate his own potential when he was in danger. If he were to call out Bubbles or his second body to help, how would he be able to force himself to stimulate his potential? In the end, Lu Ming simply put away the black feather wings and fought with the black dragon spear alone. 1,000 killing sword art, 1,000 miles of sky. 1,000 killing sword art, 1,000 miles of sky. At this moment, the two black-robed men simultaneously used their strongest killing moves. Sword chi filled the sky, transforming into two terrifying sword lights. One attacked Lu Ming from the front, while the other attacked Lu Ming from behind. This was a killing move, an incomparably terrifying killing move. At this moment, Lu Ming felt a chill in his heart. He felt a terrifying sense of danger enveloping him. At this moment, he even wanted to call out Bubbles or his second body for help. However, this thought was quickly rejected by him. He wanted to rely on himself to avoid this killing move. At this moment, Lu Ming's essence, energy, and spirit were highly concentrated. His pupils were about to shrink to a point. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming's mind seemed to rumble and explode. His spirit seemed to have fused with nature. At this moment, everything in the world seemed to have slowed down. He saw the 2,000 Killer's Manor's fatal swords approaching him. Swish. At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and disappeared from his original spot. The sword lights of the two assassins collided with each other. With a terrifying rumble, the two assassins' bodies shook violently. They both retreated with blood flowing out from the corners of their mouths. They were somewhat in disbelief. How could Lu Ming escape from their killing moves? Ethereal life and death realm. This is the ethereal life and death realm. Kill. Lu Ming muttered. Then with a loud shout, the primal chaos domain erupted. Lu Ming charged at the two assassins. The ethereal life and death realm was a miraculous realm. Some cultivators would enter this realm due to their high concentration when facing the threat of death. This was the ethereal life and death realm. This realm was like an epiphany. The cultivator's spirit fused with heaven and earth. Their comprehension of the grand Tao of heaven and earth would increase greatly. At this moment, Lu Ming's comprehension of the primal chaos domain seemed to skyrocket. Boom. Boom. The black dragon spear in Lu Ming's hand turned into two resplendent spear lights. On top of them, the primal chaos domain was as heavy as a mountain. The spear lights pierced the swords of the two assassins. The two assassins' bodies shook and flew back. Lu Ming opened his eyes. His eyes were incomparably bright. Level 8 Primal Chaos Domain. Lu Ming muttered. He was somewhat surprised. In that instant he had entered the ethereal life and death realm. His Primal Chaos Domain had actually broken through and entered the 8th level. The effect of the ethereal life and death realm was truly shocking. No wonder so many geniuses entered the 100-race battlefield to find people to fight. Walking on the edge of life and death, one's improvement was truly great. Unfortunately, the ethereal life and death realm couldn't be maintained for long. In a few breaths, one would walk out of that state. Otherwise, how fast would one's improvement be? He broke through? The two assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor emitted intense killing intent. They wanted to kill Lu Ming, but they didn't expect that Lu Ming's potential would be stimulated and he would break through under their siege. So what if he broke through? He still has to die. Kill. One of the assassins shouted coldly. His killing intent was as cold as a blade. It's time for this battle to end. Lu Ming said coldly. His glabella shone and Ming Lian's second body stepped out. A Tai Chi disc floated above his head. Do you know it's one? The two assassins' eyes narrowed. Bus. The Tai Chi disc shone and a Tai Chi pattern appeared, suppressing one of the assassins. Lu Ming's main body charged towards the other assassin. In Lu Ming's hand, a chaotic sky seal appeared and rapidly expanded. In the end, the chaotic sky seal grew to the size of a small mountain and suppressed the assassin. Its terrifying aura completely locked onto the other party. 1,000 slaying sword art, 1,000 miles of sky. The assassin roared and executed his ultimate move. He executed a resplendent sword, wanting to break through the chaotic sky seal. But when his sword light slashed on the chaotic sky seal, his sword light directly shattered. He retreated frantically and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Retreat. The assassin roared and retreated frantically. Lu Ming's combat strength was terrifyingly strong. He actually didn't use his full strength earlier. Now that he unleashed his full strength, the power was shocking. Retreat? Where can you retreat to? Lu Ming said coldly. Buzz. A huge chaotic sky seal formed above the assassin's head. It emitted a vast and terrifying aura. Its power was even stronger than the previous chaotic sky seal. Chapter 1608. Bang. The mountain-like primal chaos flipping seal crushed down onto the assassin. No. The assassin let out a roar and tried his best to resist, but it was to no avail. The giant seal crushed the assassin's body and destroyed his soul. The other assassin's expression changed tremendously. He tried to break out of the encirclement, but there was nothing he could do. The Tai Chi formation disc was a treasure on par with a monarch weapon. It contained a terrifying heaven-earth formation, which was used to refine his second body. The longer he was in possession of the second body, the stronger its power would be as he continued to study it. The assassin could barely protect himself within the Tai Chi formation disc. He was already injured, let alone trying to break out of the encirclement. After killing one of the assassins, Lu Ming headed toward the remaining assassin. Bang. The primal chaos flipping seal was executed, and the outcome was obvious. The Thousand Killers sect will never forgive you. The assassin let out a roar as he was about to die. His soul was then destroyed by the primal chaos flipping seal. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming grabbed the storage rings of the two assassins. My primal chaos domain has reached the 8th grade. I should find a place to cultivate and improve my cultivation to the 8th layer martial dominator realm. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He flicked his fingers and 2 balls of flames flew out, burning the bodies of the 2 assassins in black into ashes. He then spread his black wings and dashed out of the crack. After flying for a while, Lu Ming dashed into a huge mountain and entered the mountain river map. Lu Ming took out a pile of origin stones and began to refine them to improve his cultivation. A few days later, Lu Ming's cultivation had successfully improved to the early stage of the 8th layer martial dominator realm. Let's see if there's anything good in their storage rings. Lu Ming took out a few storage rings, which belonged to the purple-robed young man of the Wan clan and the assassins of the Thousand Killers sect. Lu Ming first checked the storage rings of the assassins of the Thousand Killers sect. There are quite a lot of treasures here. Unfortunately, there's no cultivation technique of the Thousand Killers sect. After Lu Ming did a check, he was a little excited but also a little regretful. The spatial rings of the Thousand Killers Manor's assassins were filled with treasures. The 2 half-saints of the Thousand Killers Manor actually had more than 15 saint weapons in their spatial rings. It was even more than the sacred weapons that Lu Ming and the others had obtained from the Dragon Palace's treasury. But thinking about it, it was normal. These 2 assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor had killed countless geniuses in the 100 race battlefield. Moreover, those who entered the 100 race battlefield were all geniuses from various emperor-level forces. Each of them would more or less have a saint weapon on them. It wasn't strange for the 2 assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor to have so many saint weapons in their storage rings. However, Lu Ming was very interested in the cultivation techniques of the Thousand Slayers Manor. Their assassination techniques were incomparably shocking, able to kill people in an instant. Sadly, he didn't manage to see it. After that, Lu Ming took out the storage ring of the purple-clad young man from the Wan clan. There were also 2 saint weapons in the storage ring of the purple-clad young man from the Wan clan. Of course, the thing that moved Lu Ming's heart the most was a jade token in a box. 10,000 weapons art. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Wan clan's cultivation technique was even more amazing. It could actually seal saint weapons and spiritual weapons in one's body. When the chi of battle weapons converged, the power would be incomparably terrifying. Lu Ming immediately started to seriously look at it. Amazing, amazing, truly amazing. After a long while, Lu Ming finished looking at it and sighed. The Wan clan's 10,000 weapons art was indeed amazing. It could seal saint weapons and spiritual weapons in one's body. When the weapons were in the body, the chi of battle weapons would converge and release a terrifying power. Moreover, every time a weapon was sealed, the power would increase and there would be no end to it. There were 360 major acupoints in one's body and countless smaller acupoints. If all of them were sealed in weapons, how terrifying would the power be? The higher the level of the weapons sealed, the stronger the power. Of course, sealing weapons into acupoints had a high requirement on one's body. The stronger one's spiritual body and the higher one's cultivation, the more saint weapons one could seal and the higher the level. The 2 purple-robed youths from the Wan clan could only seal sovereign-level spirit weapons. One of them had sealed 18 sovereign-level spirit weapons. Clearly, the purple-robed youth's body was not strong enough. If he forcefully sealed the saint weapons, the power of the saint weapons would probably cause his body to explode. However, just sealing 18 emperor weapons was already terrifying. Even Yun Shi, who had a saint weapon, was not a match for him. As for the noble youth, he was even more terrifying. He had directly sealed 12 saint weapons and no one knew if there were more. However, the noble youth had a spiritual body, and his cultivation had reached the second stage of the half-saint realm. It was not surprising that he could seal 12 saint weapons. Moreover, there was an extremely harsh condition to cultivate the 10,000 weapons art. One had to cultivate the 10,000 weapons domain to be able to cultivate the 10,000 weapons art. The 10,000 weapons domain was a terrifying domain. This domain could transform a domain into different weapon domains such as a sword domain, a saber domain, a spear domain, and so on. Otherwise, it would be impossible to merge so many different weapons. If one did not cultivate the 10,000 weapons domain, they would not be able to cultivate the 10,000 weapons art. It was no wonder that the Wan clan was so assured to carry the 10,000 weapons art with them. Even if others obtained it, they would not be able to cultivate it. However, a smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. The 10,000 weapons domain? Lu Ming cultivated the primal chaos domain. Not to mention transforming various weapon domains, Lu Ming could transform all of them except for a few peak domains. Naturally, he could also transform various weapon domains. The 10,000 weapons art was simply too suitable for Lu Ming. Lu Ming immediately began to carefully comprehend it. After cultivating the 10,000 weapons art, Lu Ming would have one more technique. 2 days later, Lu Ming finished his comprehension and the black dragon spear appeared in his hand. Lu Ming began to seal the sacred weapon into his acupoints. Currently, Lu Ming's spiritual body was a heavenly spiritual body. Furthermore, it contained a trace of primal chaos chi, which was stronger than a heavenly spiritual body of the same level. He was confident that it would not be a problem to merge it with the sacred weapon. Acupoints open. Immediately, Lu Ming activated the 10,000 weapons art. On his right palm, there was a dot of light emitting a bright glow. That was a major acupoint on his right palm. The human body had 360 major acupoints that covered the entire body. Seal. Following this, Lu Ming shouted. The black dragon spear rapidly shrank and entered the acupoint on Lu Ming's palm. Immediately, Lu Ming felt a powerful battle weapon chi crazily attacking his acupoints, causing him to feel a sharp pain. If his physical body was not strong enough and his cultivation was not profound enough, his body would have been torn apart by the battle weapon chi. However, Lu Ming had a heavenly spiritual body. His physical body was incomparably strong. Although he felt a sharp pain, he immediately suppressed it. After a while, the black dragon spear calmed down and quietly floated in his acupoints. Chapter 1609. After successfully sealing a saint weapon, Lu Ming's confidence was greatly boosted. Then the black feather wing flew out. Lu Ming circulated the 10,000 weapon art, and a spot of light lit up on his spine. Lu Ming sealed the black feather wing into this acupoint. After sealing the 2 saint weapons, the 2 acupoints seemed to connect through the meridians. A strand of battle weapon chi gathered through the meridians. Then Lu Ming took out a battle sword. This battle sword was also a saint weapon, and he sealed it into the acupoint of his left palm. The 3 acupoints were connected through the meridians. Next, Lu Ming began to seal the 4th saint weapon. As more and more saint weapons were sealed, the battle weapon chi grew stronger and stronger. The pressure on the acupoints also grew stronger. Every time he sealed a saint weapon, Lu Ming's acupoints felt like they were about to be torn apart. It was incomparably painful. However, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and endured each and every one of them. In the end, Lu Ming sealed 10 saint weapons in one go. The 10 saint weapons were sealed in 10 acupoints. They were connected through the meridians, and the battle weapon chi was incomparably powerful. At this point he finally reached his limit. Lu Ming felt that if he continued to seal, his physical body would not be able to endure and would be torn apart by the battle weapon chi. If he wanted to seal more saint weapons, he would have to wait for his cultivation to increase or his spirit body to evolve. Whoosh! Lu Ming soared into the sky. With a thought, 10 spots of light lit up on his body. 10 saint weapons appeared and floated around Lu Ming. Lu Ming stabbed out with the black dragon spear. A terrifying spear light pierced out 1,000 miles before disappearing. Its power is truly shocking. The 10,000 weapon art is known as the 10,000 weapon art. If it can really seal 10,000 saint weapons, its power will probably be earth-shattering. If it can seal even stronger saint weapons such as great saint weapons, absolute saint weapons, or even emperor weapons, how terrifying would its power be? Lu Ming's face was filled with amazement. The 10,000 weapon art was a secret art, a terrifying secret art. If he could cultivate the 10,000 weapons domain into the law of 10,000 weapons, this secret technique would transform into a terrifying divine ability. With a thought, Shaoqun put away the 10 holy weapons and returned them to his acupoints, vanishing from sight. The Thousand Slayer Manor left a slaughter mark on my main body. If they can find me based on the slaughter mark, then I'll have my second body move around outside and look for a city. My main body will stay in the mountain and river diagram to refine the demon fiend crystals and increase the strength of my soul. 2 birds with 1 stone. Lu Ming pondered. With his main body in the mountain and river diagram, he did not believe that the other party could still sense the slaughter mark. Thinking of this, the second body exited the mountain-river diagram, left the mountain, and headed towards the depths of the 100-clan battlefield. Meanwhile, Lu Ming took out a 6th-layer martial dominator realm demon crystal from the mountain and river pattern and began refining it. After the demon fiend crystal's energy entered his body, it would transform into a mass of demonic energy that poured into his dantian, wrapping around his spiritual spirit. Lu Ming felt a burst of itchiness in his soul as well as a tearing pain. This was the energy of the demon fiend crystal, tempering his soul, allowing it to grow stronger. A few hours later, the 6th-layer martial dominator realm demon crystal was completely refined. Lu Ming's soul improved slightly. Although it was only a slight improvement, it was a few times faster than when Lu Ming was cultivating the godly sword technique to improve his soul force. Following this, Lu Ming took out another 6th-layer martial dominator realm demon crystal and continued refining it. As for his second body, it concealed its aura and ventured deeper into the 100-clan battlefield. Along the way he saw many battles between geniuses which were extremely fierce. In each battle either both sides were severely injured or one of them was killed. However, Lu Ming had no intention of engaging in a battle. When he saw these geniuses he would take a detour. He was planning to find a city first before making his next move. As expected, the assassins of the Thousand Slayer Manor did not come after his main body in the mountain and river diagram. A few days later, a huge city appeared in front of him. The city was extremely magnificent, with walls a few hundred meters tall. The entrance of the city was heavily guarded by soldiers. These people were all locals who had grown up in the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming stepped into the city and found it to be very lively. People came and went and shops were everywhere. On the streets, young experts could be seen from time to time. Each of them had a strong aura. Lu Ming glanced around and found that most of them were 8th-layer martial dominators or 9th-layer martial dominators. Sometimes he even saw a half-saint. Most of these youths were like Lu Ming, who had entered the 100-clan battlefield to train. However, these people would enter the city every once in a while to rest. After all, there were local Saint Realm experts in the city. They were not allowed to kill in the city so they could relax and adjust. Moreover, there was a special market in the city where many geniuses would exchange for treasures. The 100-clan battlefield was full of danger and opportunities. There were countless treasures left behind from the ancient war. Some people risked their lives to obtain some treasures. Lu Ming walked around and found an inn. He booked a room. Walking into the room, his second body sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. In the next few days, Lu Ming's main body had been refining the demon crystals in the mountain and river diagram. His soul was getting stronger and stronger. Now, his soul power had reached the first stage of the half-saint realm and was close to the second stage of the half-saint realm. However, it was not enough. Lu Ming was still refining the demon crystals. 10 days after Lu Ming entered the city, his soul power finally made a breakthrough and reached the second stage of the half-saint realm. With his soul power at this level, Lu Ming could use the divine sword technique to shake the soul of a second-stage half-saint expert and greatly affect them. At this point, Lu Ming stopped refining the demon crystals for the time being. Let's go to the Shura platform. With a thought, his second body entered the mountain and river diagram, while his main body exited the diagram. During this time, his second body would occasionally go out to ask for information and learned a lot of information about the city. The Shura platform was a battle platform. It was the only place in the city where people could fight. Many geniuses who came from the outside would go to the Shura platform to find opponents and have a life-or-death battle. They would walk on the edge of life and death and stimulate their potential. Lu Ming also wanted to find opponents to fight in the Shura platform to improve his cultivation. Soon, a building appeared in front of Lu Ming. The building was not big. Lu Ming walked in and found a battle platform. There were no seats around the platform. There were some young people standing around and watching. There were about a few hundred people. On the battle platform there were 2 young people fighting fiercely. The two young people were both at the peak of the 8th layer martial royal realm and had superior earthly spiritual bodies. The two of them fought fiercely for a few hundred moves, but it was difficult to determine the winner. Whoosh, whoosh. The two of them stood on both sides of the battle platform with many wounds on their bodies. Both of them were injured. However, the two of them didn't leave the fighting stage because there was a layer of light covering the fighting stage, making it difficult for them to leave. Lu Ming's second body had already learned that this fighting ring was called the Azura platform. Once he stepped into it, a light screen would rise around the fighting ring, shrouding it. There were only two ways to proceed. The first was to kill the opponent and end the battle. The second was to hold on for half an hour. After half an hour, the light screen would disappear and one would be able to leave the battle platform. On the Shura platform, one could not admit defeat. Therefore, if one stepped on the Shura platform and met an opponent who was much stronger than them, they would die. Chapter 16:10. The two young men were evenly matched in the fighting ring. Neither of them could defeat the other, thus they could only wait patiently. A while later, the barrier around the fighting ring disappeared as the two young men leapt down from the ring and disappeared. Whoosh! A young man in a red robe leapt onto the fighting ring. His aura was unleashed without any concealment. Intermediate 9th layer martial dominator realm. Who's willing to fight me? The young man in a red robe scanned the surroundings. I'll do it. A voice could be heard as a young man leapt onto the fighting ring. Judging from his aura, his cultivation was at the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm. Normally, those with a higher cultivation would not challenge their opponents on the Azura platform, as there was no point in training themselves. These people came here to find experts to train themselves. What's the point of challenging a weakling like him? Only those with a grudge against each other would challenge their opponents. Early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm, you are no match against me. The young man in a red robe said coldly. Not necessarily. The eyes of the young man in the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm flickered with a strong battle intent. Buzz. At that instant, the barrier on the fighting ring rose once again. Kill. The young man in the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm was the first to attack. A long spear appeared in his hand as he thrust it at the young man in a red robe at lightning speed. Bang! The young man in a red robe unleashed his domain of flames, which encapsulated his opponent's figure. At the same time, he sprang forward and slashed at his opponent with a fiery saber in his hand. Bang! Bang! Following two intense collisions, the young man in the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm was knocked backward with a hint of astonishment in his eyes. He was completely at a disadvantage. Die. The young man in a red robe charged forward while unleashing a torrential attack with his fiery saber. The young man in the early stage of the 9th layer martial dominator realm uttered a furious roar and unleashed his full strength to fight against the young man in a red robe. The red-robed young man's combat strength had exceeded his expectations. He was much stronger than him. He had to fight with his life on the line. This battle was also an opportunity for him. If he could survive for half an hour under the attacks of the young man in a red robe, he would surely benefit greatly from it. Unfortunately, the young man in the red robe was significantly stronger than him. In just a few moves, the fiery saber slashed the young man in half, before the terrifying flames burned his corpse into ashes. A powerful genius was killed just like that. As long as one person was killed, the light screen at the edge of the stage would disappear. Without a doubt, these sky prides were all superior earth spiritual bodies. Even worse, unless their cultivation was very high, they would only be courting death if they came to the 100 clan battlefield. Unfortunately, even though they were all superior earth spiritual bodies, there were still differences in strength. The red-robed youth's battle power was very strong. The red-robed young man grabbed the young man's storage ring and said coldly, "You want to use me as your whetstone? You're courting death." The 100-tribe battlefield and the Azura arena were cruel like this. If one wanted to use the opponent as a whetstone to temper oneself, it was very likely that one would lose one's life. Who else wants to fight me? Anyone with a cultivation of the 9th layer martial dominator realm is welcome. The red-robed young man spoke again. His eyes were filled with intense battle intent. It was obvious that the red-robed young man was very confident in himself. He was also looking for experts to train himself. "I'll fight you." A bald young man leaped onto the fighting ring, releasing his aura. His cultivation was slightly higher than that of the red-robed young man. Fight. Without further ado, the two of them began to fight. The battle on the fighting ring was extremely intense. The two of them fought with all their might, pushing themselves to their limits. Below the fighting ring, many young men were watching carefully. Watching other people's battles would sometimes inspire them. The battle between the two was extremely intense. After exchanging 100 blows, the red-robed young man was still stronger. Despite being severely injured, he managed to kill his opponent with a single slash. The red-robed young man seemed to have learned something from the battle. He left the fighting ring and disappeared. It was likely that he had found a place to cultivate in seclusion. Following that, a few more battles of life and death were carried out. Some were killed and some were both heavily injured. Only in such an environment can I improve rapidly, Lu Ming murmured in his heart. Following this, he took a step forward and appeared on the fighting ring. Who's going to fight me? Lu Ming scanned the surroundings and added, it's best if it's a half-saint. Those below the half-saint level don't need to come and die. His words caused the crowd to fall silent. Then a commotion broke out. Meow, this guy is so smug. Judging from his cultivation, he's only an 8th layer martial dominator, yet he dares to challenge a half-saint. He even said those below the half-saint realm will die. How arrogant is he? I'll go and fight him. A young man dashed onto the fighting ring. His aura was emitted. It was a peak 8th layer martial dominator realm. Peak 8th layer martial dominator realm, why are you here to die? Lu Ming shook his head in disappointment. How presumptuous, let's see how you're going to kill me. The young man snapped and stepped forward. His hand grabbed at Lu Ming like an eagle's claw. Bang! Lu Ming threw a punch. The terrifying fist force crushed the other party's claw. The fist force did not stop there. It bombarded the other party's dantian and the fist force penetrated the other party's dantian. A single punch had killed the young man. Lu Ming showed no mercy. There was no such thing as showing mercy on the Azura platform. Those who stepped onto the Azura platform should be prepared to be killed. Besides, Lu Ming had already warned the young man. I told you, those below the half-saint realm shouldn't be here to die, Lu Ming said calmly. The young men below the fighting ring glistened. A young man of the 8th layer martial dominator realm had killed a peak 8th layer martial dominator realm cultivator with a single punch. His strength was absolutely shocking. This guy's strength is indeed shocking. He's perfect for me to hone my skills. A young man with a fierce battle intent dashed onto the fighting ring with a terrifying aura. His cultivation was at the peak of the 9th layer martial dominator realm. It's him, Kwang Kong. Kwang Kong's cultivation is at the peak of the 9th layer martial dominator realm, but his strength is extremely terrifying. He once killed a few peak 9th layer martial dominator realm geniuses in a row. He once challenged a 1st layer half-saint realm cultivator, and even though he was no match for his opponent, he managed to survive for half an hour. He has been looking for powerful opponents to challenge recently. He's trying to break his limit and comprehend the ultimate domain to rank up to the half-saint realm. The young man went onto the fighting ring, causing an uproar. However, Lu Ming still shook his head and said, another one here to die. Why bother? Lu Ming was speaking from the bottom of his heart. He came here because he wanted to look for powerful cultivators to train himself. What was the point of having weak cultivators who were of no use to him? However, when his words fell into the ears of others, they became arrogant. 8th layer martial dominator realm, how dare you? Chapter 16:11. The weapon that Kwang Kong used was also a long spear. It was a sacred weapon. With a curl of the long spear, it pierced out, and its attack swept toward Lu Ming like a violent storm. Boom! Lu Ming made his move. His attack was as simple as before. Using the primal chaos domain and the suppressing hell heavenly art, Kwang Kong's attack instantly collapsed. The fist didn't stop as it continued to attack Kwang Kong. Kwang Kong's expression changed drastically. The power of Lu Ming's fist was too terrifying, far beyond his expectations. Block! He roared and a green shield appeared. It was a saint weapon. At the same time, a gale swept out from his body, and several shields appeared around him. Boom! Lu Ming's punch landed on the sacred weapon shield, giving off a terrifying roar. The sacred weapon shield was sent flying and collided with Kwang Kong's body. Kwang Kong let out a muffled groan as he was sent flying. He slammed heavily into the light screen at the edge of the fighting ring. The light screen trembled for a moment, blocking his body. Kwang Kong slid down the light screen, vomiting blood. How is this possible? Kwang Kong roared in disbelief. Lu Ming's battle strength was too terrifying. Even with his cultivation, he couldn't withstand a single blow. Moreover, his defensive power had once blocked the continuous attacks of a first-stage half-saint. Now he was seriously injured by Lu Ming's fist. Below the stage, the others were also shocked. Kill? Lu Ming said coldly and stepped forward, pressing towards Kwang Kong. Block, I want to block. Kwang Kong roared. He waved his hands and 2 more shields appeared. They were both saint weapons. 3 saint weapon shields stacked together and floated in front of him. At the same time, an armor appeared on his body. It was also a saint weapon. With so many defensive saint weapons, it was no wonder that he could block the continuous attacks of a half-saint. True Yuan poured into the flowing element glove, and the glove's weight continued to increase. Boom. Another punch blasted out, bombarding Kwang Kong's shield. Kwang Kong was like a sandbag as he was sent flying. He crashed into the light barrier, causing it to shake violently. As for Kwang Kong, he vomited a mouthful of blood. It was unknown how many of his bones had been broken. How can this person's strength be so terrifying? Kwang Kong despaired. Lu Ming's strength had surpassed the half-saint he had encountered before. How could an 8th-layer martial emperor possess such shocking strength? Little did he know that when Lu Ming was still a peak 7th-layer martial dominator, he was already able to face the half-martial sacred of the Thousand Assassins sect head-on. Now that he had broken through to the 8th-layer martial dominator realm, his strength was even stronger. Kill. The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a thrust, the 13 strikes exploded. 13 bursts of power superimposed on each other, directly penetrating Kwang Kong's heavy defenses and bombarding his body. Kwang Kong screamed miserably as his body was sent flying. This time Kwang Kong did not get up again. Even with the protection of a sacred weapon, his life was extinguished. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming collected Kwang Kong's holy weapon and storage ring. Who else wants to fight? It's best if it's a half-saint. Lu Ming looked around and repeated his words. How powerful. This person's strength is even stronger than a 1st-layer half-saint. It's unbelievable that an 8th-layer martial emperor could possess such terrifying strength. He must have a heavenly spiritual body. Even a heavenly spiritual body isn't that terrifying. Below the fighting stage, many people were discussing. For a moment, no one went up. Some people's eyes flickered as if they were evaluating their own strength. Lu Ming had killed Kwang Feng in a few moves. His strength had already surpassed many 1st-layer half-saints. Some 1st-layer half-saints were also evaluating their own battle strength to see if they could fight against Lu Ming. I'll go. After a while, a young man in a green robe stepped onto the fighting stage. It's him, Lei Xiong. Many people's eyes flickered when they saw the young man. It said that Lei Xiong is about to break through to the 2nd layer of the half-saint realm and comprehend the Dharma. Now that he's on the fighting stage, this battle will be interesting. On the fighting stage, a smile finally appeared on Lu Ming's face. Finally, someone decent had come. Lei Xiong attacked directly. His whole body was covered with lightning. The terrifying lightning condensed into a thunder seal and attacked Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming's black dragon spear shot up and swept the thunder seal. With a boom, the thunder seal exploded and the whole fighting stage was filled with the power of the thunder cauldron. But then a large thunder cauldron pressed down on Lu Ming. Come on. Lu Ming shouted as he struck out with his black dragon spear again. Lei Xiong had mastered the ultimate thunder domain and had cultivated a terrifying domain martial technique. The power of lightning could be transformed into various terrifying offensive skills with astonishing power. Lu Ming did not use the divine sword art or the chaotic sky flipping seal. He only used ordinary battle skills to fight with Lei Xiong. For a while, the two of them were fiercely fighting and it was difficult to determine the winner. This battle lasted for half an hour. The battle only ended when the light screen disappeared. Phew, Lei Xiong gasped for breath. He had used up a lot of his genuine essence. If the battle continued, he would not be able to withstand it. On the other hand, Lu Ming was still calm and composed. Monster. Lei Xiong muttered as he turned around and left the fighting stage. It's a pity that I'm still lacking. I don't have that sense of crisis. Lu Ming whispered. After the battle with Lei Xiong, Lu Ming felt refreshed. He felt that he had comprehended the chaotic domain, but he did not have that sense of crisis. After all, the effect was still lacking. Is there a rank 2 sage to be? Come up and fight. Lu Ming spoke again and his voice resounded throughout the whole area. Below the fighting stage, many people looked at each other in dismay. Lu Ming wanted to challenge a rank 2 sage to be. What a freak. An 8th-level martial royal realm cultivator challenging a rank 2 sage to be was dumbfounded, even though these people were from emperor-level forces. It should be known that the sage to be here were not ordinary sage to be outside. They were all genius sage to be. It's really interesting that such a genius has appeared. If I can kill such a genius, it will be interesting. A cold voice rang out as a pale-faced youth stepped onto the fighting stage. Bang. Then he took a step forward and a terrifying force surged toward Lu Ming. The power of law. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Then a trace of excitement appeared on his face. This person was a rank 2 sage to be. 13 power-storing strikes. The black dragon spear thrust forward. Boom. The black dragon spear seemed to have pierced a steel mountain. A terrifying force surged, causing the black dragon spear to bend. Lu Ming's body retreated continuously. He retreated more than 10 steps before he regained his balance. The power of law is really powerful, Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. His eyes were filled with excitement and a strong desire to fight. Chapter 16:12. Bam. The pale youth stepped forward, his aura skyrocketing. A blood-red light appeared and circled around his body. Blood God Slash. The blood-red light was like a divine blade that slashed at Lu Ming. This blood-red light gave Lu Ming a strong sense of danger. A dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body. Above his head, 9 dragons were faintly discernible as they danced in the air. Heaven and earth phenomenon. Lu Ming pushed his dragon god battle body to the limit, causing a heaven and earth phenomenon. Following which, Lu Ming stomped heavily on the ground. His entire body twisted like a huge dragon. Then he drove the long spear and thrust it out. Clang. The black dragon spear collided with the blood-red light. A terrifying force seemed to pierce through the black dragon spear and split Lu Ming in half. Lu Ming's body trembled as he retreated again. The second stage of half-saint is indeed much stronger than the first stage. The power of laws is indestructible and unstoppable. Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The pale-faced youth had the same cultivation level as the noble youth from the Wan family. However, his battle prowess was much weaker than the noble youth from the Wan family. The noble youth from the Wan family was in existence with a heavenly spiritual body. However, even if he was far inferior to the Wan clan's youth, his battle strength was still incomparably strong. After all, he could control the power of laws. The laws were the foundation of this world. You're not bad to be able to take 2 of my moves, but it ends here, the pale youth said coldly. He controlled the power of laws and continued to attack Lu Ming. Is that so? The battle intent in Lu Ming's eyes grew stronger and stronger. There was no fear in his eyes. Specks of light lit up on his body as sacred weapons flew out and floated around Lu Ming. There were a total of 10 sacred weapons. The aura of the sacred weapons gathered together, making Lu Ming's aura even stronger. 10,000 weapon art. You're from the Wan clan. The pale youth's eyes narrowed. Lu Ming smiled and did not comment. Looks like the Wan clan has produced another genius. It's time to kill him. The pale-faced youth took a large step forward. The bloody light was like a rainbow as it slashed towards Lu Ming. The black dragon spear vibrated like a dragon's roar as it pierced forward. At the same time, Lu Ming's left hand grabbed a Saint Artifact battle sword and slashed down. Boom. Boom. This time, after the 2 explosions, Lu Ming still retreated, but this time he retreated a few steps less than before. Kill, kill, kill. The pale-faced youth bellowed and the blood-colored light shot towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He rushed forward, his eyes emitting 2 black rays of light. When the divine sword art was unleashed, the pale-faced young man's body shook violently as pain flashed across his eyes. However, he forcefully endured it, and the power of law continued to attack Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's soul power was no weaker than the soul power of a second-stage half-saint. His opponent's soul power was also affected by the divine sword secret art, and his strength was weakened. Boom. Boom. The 2 of them clashed again, and at the moment of collision they exchanged a few blows. This time, Lu Ming retreated again, but only by a few steps. He was barely able to resist his opponent's attack. Below the fighting ring the others gasped. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. He was only in the 8th stage of the martial royal realm, but he was able to fight a second-stage half-saint genius. A peerless genius. Someone exclaimed. Even the strongest heaven's pride of an emperor-level force wouldn't have such battle prowess. Only those ancient and terrifying forces would have such geniuses. That's right. The Wan family has such a genius. Many geniuses exclaimed in disgust. On the fighting ring the battle continued. Lu Ming unleashed the divine sword secret art and was finally able to fight with his opponent. Soon the 2 of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Awesome, awesome. Lu Ming roared. In the celestial phenomenon the 9 dragons also roared. Except for the chaotic sky-flipping seal, Lu Ming did not hold back. His true essence whistled and he unleashed his realm to the extreme. The 2 of them fought fiercely. Terrifying energy waves raged and bombarded the light curtain at the edge of the fighting ring, causing it to shake violently. "You're using me as a whetstone." The pale young man's eyes were cold. He knew that Lu Ming was using him as a whetstone to improve himself. However, he was also under great pressure from Lu Ming, who was only in the 8th stage of the martial royal realm. That would also force him to improve. The great battle continued, not stopping. Although the pale young man was obviously stronger, Lu Ming had many tricks up his sleeve. The divine sword secret art was enough to threaten his opponent. Moreover, the divine dragon combat body was a heavenly spiritual body. It was full of vitality and endurance. It seemed that he would never get tired. It would be difficult for his opponent to kill Lu Ming. The battle lasted for many blows. After half an hour, the light curtain at the edge of the fighting ring disappeared. Boom. The two of them exchanged one last blow and retreated to opposite sides of the fighting ring. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. After such a long battle, he was injured by the power of law. However, his opponent was also panting heavily. He had consumed a lot of energy. "Let's fight again next time." The pale-faced young man left these words behind and strode out of the place. "I'll be waiting for your battle," Lu Ming said. He then jumped down from the fighting ring and left. Soon he returned to the inn and entered the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree. The heavenly law stone floated in the air and he began to comprehend quietly. He had been completely suppressed by his opponent in this battle. He had been in a life-or-death situation. His potential had been fully stimulated and he had gained a lot. Unfortunately, he had not entered the ethereal state of life and death. It seemed that it was not easy to enter the ethereal state of life and death. It was a coincidence that he had entered it last time. 2 days later, Lu Ming ended his cultivation and opened his eyes. "Sure enough, I can only improve quickly in a battle." Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. In 2 days his injuries had completely healed. Moreover, his chaotic domain had improved and was nearing the middle stage of rank 8. If he had cultivated step by step, it would have taken months of hard work to achieve such results. Continue. Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and came to the Azura platform again. As soon as Lu Ming came to the Azura platform, many people looked at Lu Ming with fear. Lu Ming had become a celebrity in the Azura platform. "You're finally here. Let's continue the battle." The pale young man was also here, looking at Lu Ming intently. "That's exactly what I want," Lu Ming replied. When the battle on the fighting ring ended, Lu Ming and the pale young man jumped onto the fighting ring. They did not say anything and immediately started the battle. This time, the battle lasted for half an hour before the two of them retreated, panting. This time Lu Ming did not vomit blood. His injuries were lighter than before. "I'm Su Ran," the pale young man said. "Lu Ming." Lu Ming replied. "Let's fight another day." Another day. Chapter 16:13. Over the next 10 days, Lu Ming and Su Ran would have a battle every 2 days. Each battle would last for half an hour. It was a battle of life and death. Lu Ming's improvement was extremely fast. Lu Ming's chaotic domain would improve tremendously after every battle. As the chaotic domain improved, so did his cultivation. 10 days later, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the late 8th layer martial dominator realm. He was not far from the peak of the 8th layer martial dominator realm. It was a shocking speed. Not only did Lu Ming improve but so did Su Ran. He was more familiar with using the power of laws. Initially, Su Ran had just reached the 2nd stage of the half-martial sacred realm. Now he was slowly approaching the late stage. However, it was obvious that Lu Ming's improvement was faster. 10 days later, although Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage when fighting Su Ran, the difference was not as obvious. The two of them had fought for a long time. They were starting to appreciate each other's talents. "Lu Ming, you're too crazy. If this continues, I won't be your match soon." Below the Azura platform, the two of them chatted as they watched the battles on the platform. "It seems like I'll have to change my opponent," Lu Ming said. Su Ran glared at him and said, "Do you really think you can beat me?" "No, I just feel that if I can't kill you, it would be meaningless to have a battle of life and death," Lu Ming said. Su Ran was startled, but he soon nodded. The two of them had fought for a long time and felt that their tempers were similar. After the battle 2 days ago, the two of them had a good drink. They really could not kill each other on the Azura platform. Boom. Suddenly, a loud explosion was heard. It did not come from the Azura platform but from outside. Someone was fighting outside the Azura platform. Many people were startled. In this city, only the Azura stage could allow battles to take place. Fighting in other places was forbidden. Who had the guts to fight in the city? Weren't they afraid of being killed by a Saint Realm cultivator with a single slap? Let's go and take a look. Who is it that dares to fight in the city? Immediately, the prodigies below the battle stage all rushed outside. Lu Ming and Su Ran exchanged glances and also rushed outside. Boom, boom. As soon as they arrived outside, they heard a violent explosion. Everyone raised their heads to look at the sky. In the sky, two figures were engaged in an intense battle. Two streaks of light flashed and a terrifying force swept out in all directions. High up in the sky, two types of astronomical phenomena appeared. One was a sea of weapons moving freely in the void, while the other was a phoenix bathed in tribulation fire. The phenomenon of heaven and earth meant that the two people fighting were both heavenly spiritual bodies. Boom. With another rumble, the two figures separated and retreated several hundred meters, standing in the air. One of them was a young man in a purple gold robe. He exuded a noble aura and 12 saint weapons surrounded him. The aura of the battle weapon soared into the sky. It's him. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. This young man was none other than the noble young man from the Wan clan. The other one was a peerless beauty. Her figure was graceful and her skin was as smooth as jade. She was devastatingly beautiful. A pair of phoenix wings extended from her back, which added to her strange aura. The immortal heavenly phoenix. This person's spiritual body should be the immortal heavenly phoenix body formed from the bloodline of the immortal heavenly phoenix. Seeing that woman, Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. The immortal heavenly phoenix was one of the top 10 battle beasts. It was unique in the Phoenix clan just like the 9 dragons of the Dragon clan. The combat power of the immortal heavenly phoenix was stronger than ordinary phoenixes. After coming to Yuanlu, this was the first time Lu Ming had met a prodigy who had awakened the bloodline of one of the top 10 battle beasts. Through the discussions around, Lu Ming learned their names. The noble young man from the Wan clan was called Wan Tianqing, and the woman who had cultivated the immortal heavenly phoenix body was called Huang Ling Clang. The saint weapon buzzed as Wan Tianqing stepped forward. The aura of the battle weapon was like a rainbow as he slashed his sword at Huang Ling. A phoenix cry rang out. Behind Huang Ling, a pair of phoenix wings flapped, forming a sky full of flames that bombarded Wan Tianqing. A terrifying collision erupted. The sky was filled with the aura of the battle weapon and flames. The onlookers kept retreating, unable to get close. How terrifying. This combat power is close to the level of the Saint Realm. They're just low-class heavenly spiritual bodies. I really don't know how terrifying those with middle-class and upper-class heavenly spiritual bodies are. Maybe they can really kill saints before becoming saints. Wan Tianqing and Huang Ling's combat power shocked everyone. No wonder they dared to fight in the city. With such combat power, even if the saints in the city attacked, the two of them would probably be able to escape. The aura of the battle weapon and flames swept across the sky. Wan Tianqing and Huang Ling kept colliding. The battle was white-hot. Almost no one dared to stay in that area. No, there was one person. A black-clothed young man stood not far from the battle with his arms crossed. A layer of light spread out from his body, blocking the aura of the battle weapon and flames that swept in all directions. Who is that? Many people were shocked. It seems to be Sima Liang. It's him. Another heavenly spiritual body. Someone exclaimed, recognizing the black-clothed young man. He was also an extremely powerful genius. Haha, it's really lively. With a laugh, an unusually burly young man stepped through the air. He was unusually tall, 2 heads taller than ordinary people. His muscles were like iron. He stepped forward. The aura of the battle weapon and flames fell on him, but he didn't seem to feel anything. Mad Beast Zhao Kuang, another heavenly spiritual body. What's going on? Aren't these freaks in the depths of the 100-race battlefield? Why are they all here? Did something big happen in the periphery? Many people guessed. The depths of the 100-race battlefield were the core of the ancient war. There were more opportunities there. Some freakish geniuses and most of the half-saints were gathered in the depths of the 100-race battlefield. For them, they could only be honed in the depths of the 100-race battlefield. Those in the periphery were relatively weaker. These freaks rarely came to the periphery of the 100-race battlefield. But today, 4 freaks had appeared at once. Sima Liang, it's rare to see you. Fight with me. Mad Beast Zhao Kuang's eyes were blazing with battle intent as he strode towards Sima Liang. That's what I want. Sima Liang said coldly. A halberd appeared in his hand and a terrifying aura was emitted. A terrifying roar was actually emitted from Zhao Kuang's mouth. He was like an ancient savage beast, barbaric and berserk. He was wearing a glove on each of his hands. Then he threw a punch at Sima Liang. Sima Liang also slashed down with his halberd. Clang. A terrifying tremor burst out. It was as if the entire city was trembling violently. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's bodies trembled as they retreated. Again. Zhao Kuang roared as his battle intent intensified. He pounced towards Sima Liang again. Sima Liang wasn't afraid as he slashed his halberd at Zhao Kuang. Chapter 16:14. Sima Liang and Zhao Kuang's attacks were both overbearing, brutal, and direct. The two of them constantly clashed, and the entire city was constantly rumbling. The battle was fierce, and the sky above the two of them simultaneously displayed a phenomenon. The foundation of the spiritual body was the bloodline, and it was transformed from the bloodline. Therefore, in a sense, the phenomenon was also a manifestation of the bloodline. For example, Lu Ming's phenomenon was 9 dragons dancing in the sky. The bloodline of his spiritual body was the 9 dragons' bloodline. In the sky, the 4 great prodigies fought fiercely. After more than 100 moves, there was still no clear victor. Later, Zhao Kuang went crazy and actually pulled Wan Qiancheng and Huang Ling in, turning it into a 4-man melee. This was the 100 Races battlefield. There was no need for a reason to fight. It was just to train oneself. The battle between the 4 of them was even more intense. After more than 100 moves, there was still no clear victor. In the end, the 4 of them stood in 4 directions and stopped fighting. Haha, today was really fun. Let's fight another day. Zhao Kuang laughed, looking a little sinister. Then he turned and left. Then Sima Liang also left. In the end, Wan Qiancheng and Huang Ling looked at each other, and a cold light flashed in their eyes. Then they also turned and flew into the city. The peak battle had ended, but the storm was far from over. Many people were guessing what these geniuses were here for. Something big must have happened in the vicinity, or perhaps some treasure was about to appear. Generally, only the appearance of a treasure could attract these prodigies to the periphery of the 100 Races battlefield. As for Lu Ming, he had already returned to his room in the inn. The battle strength of Wan Qiancheng and the others was indeed very terrifying. They gave Lu Ming a lot of pressure. Like Su Ran, Wan Qiancheng, Huang Ling, and the others were all second-stage half-saints. However, their battle strength far surpassed Su Ran's. Even if Lu Ming used all his strength now, he wouldn't be a match for them. He had to continue breaking through and break through even faster. Only then could he contend with these prodigies. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree. With the assistance of the heavenly law stone, he focused on comprehending the Tao. During this period of time, he didn't plan to go to the Azura arena to fight. Now that Wan Qiancheng was here, Wan Qiancheng would definitely know that he had used the 10,000 weapon art. In the following time, Lu Ming's main body focused on comprehending the Tao. As for his second body, he would sometimes disguise himself and go out to gather information. 3 days later, a piece of news spread throughout the city. According to the news, Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and the others had come here from the depths of the 100 Races battlefield because the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb might be in the vicinity. When the news came out, the whole city was in an uproar. There had always been a legend in the 100-tribe battlefield. Legend had it that the war of the ancient 100 clans was incomparably tragic. Too many experts had fallen. Countless saints had fallen, and many emperor-level experts had fallen as well. It was said that after the war ended, supreme experts entered this place and built tombs for the 9 fallen great emperors, burying them in the tombs. These 9 tombs were called the 9 emperor tombs by the later generations. It was said that the 9 monarch tombs contained the succession of the martial monarchs. However, for so many years, countless powerful prodigies had entered the 100 Races battlefield, hoping to find the 9 emperor tombs. But almost no one knew where the 9 emperor tombs were. For countless years, only one of the 9 emperor tombs had appeared, and it was obtained by a prodigy. That prodigy was the current 1,000-kill martial emperor. It was said that the 1,000-kill martial emperor had relied on the inheritance of one of the 9 emperor tombs to cultivate to the martial emperor realm, and created the terrifying 1,000-kill manor. An emperor tomb could create a huge force. How tempting was that? Now, it was said that one of the 9 emperor tombs, the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb, was about to appear. The fact that the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb had appeared in the vicinity naturally shocked countless people. The facts proved that it was indeed so. After that, Wan Qiancheng, Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and the others sent their subordinates to search the vicinity. Legend had it that wherever the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb appeared, the light of reincarnation would flash. Not only the subordinates of the prodigies, but countless prodigies in the city also rushed out to search for the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. Lu Ming had entered the 100-tribe battlefield for almost 2 months. Lu Ming's cultivation improved every day. Now his cultivation had reached the peak of the 8th layer martial royal realm. At this moment a piece of news spread in the city. Someone had discovered a place where the light of reincarnation was suspected to appear. It was in a place further away from the 100-tribe battlefield. Countless people rushed toward that place. Lu Ming's second body, with the mountain-river diagram, followed the crowd and headed toward that place. After crossing a long distance, they arrived at a large mountain. Then they found a crack and jumped down. It's actually here? Lu Ming was surprised. This was actually the place where Lu Ming had hunted for demon crystals. The map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb were actually here? Surprised, Lu Ming followed the crowd and leaped into the crack. The demonic creatures here actually have demon crystals. It's really demon crystals. Such a treasure land, I didn't discover it before. Not long after they entered, many people discovered the situation here. The demonic creatures here actually had demon crystals. Suddenly, many people emitted blazing light in this place, looking for demonic creatures to kill and seize the demon crystals. There's really a light there. Lu Ming looked in a direction. In that direction, a strange light appeared. That light seemed to have 6 different colors that were constantly changing, like the 6 paths of reincarnation. That was the light of reincarnation. I didn't see it here before. Did it appear recently? Lu Ming was very surprised. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound of something breaking through the air sounded. Lu Ming saw Wan Tianqing, Huang Ling, Zhao Kuang, and Sima Liang flying in that direction at the fastest speed. Then the other geniuses also flew in that direction. Let's go. Lu Ming stepped into the air and followed the crowd. Not long after, they arrived in front of a valley. What a coincidence, it's actually here. Lu Ming was even more surprised. Because this valley was the valley he had lured Wan Tianqing to before. Inside, Lu Ming found 10 dragon bones, and his dragon god battle body evolved into a heavenly spiritual body. The light of reincarnation was actually emitted from the depths of this valley. When he was here, it really didn't exist. Roar, roar, roar. In the valley, demonic creatures roared, their roars shaking the sky. Obviously, many people went in and alarmed the demonic creatures. Not good, there are so many powerful demonic creatures. They are all at the half-step saint realm. There are even saint realm demonic creatures. Not good, retreat, retreat quickly. There was a lot of noise in the valley. Many people rushed out desperately, but there were still screams. Many people were killed by the demons. No, the demonic creatures in this valley are too strong. We can't rush in at all. Chapter 16:15. Most of the demonic creatures in the valley were saged to be demonic creatures, and there were even a few saged to be demonic creatures. Even a sage to be would be killed, let alone a LV8 or LV9 martial royal realm cultivator. While many people were watching unwillingly, Lu Ming had already quietly rushed into the valley. When no one was paying attention, Lu Ming quietly changed his body. His second body entered the mountain and river diagram, and his main body stepped out of the diagram. A sage-to-be demonic creature charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's mind stirred, and the sage-suppressing steel's aura spread out behind him. The demonic creature showed a trace of fear in its eyes. It roared and took the initiative to retreat. Lu Ming was unimpeded as he dashed into the place that was paved with white bones. The light of reincarnation was emitted from the depths of the valley. It turns out that this is not the end. There is a deeper place. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Last time he had stopped here and did not go deeper. He did not expect that there would be another world in the depths. Roar, roar. In the valley, demonic creatures roared like thunder, and Saint Aura spread out. A huge demonic bear was chasing a young man with all its strength. That young man was Zhao Kuang. Facing the sage-to-be demonic creature, Zhao Kuang did not dare to fight it head-on. He dodged with his body movement, and after paying a price, he successfully rushed into the depths of the valley. The demonic bear roared angrily but did not continue to chase him. Lu Ming looked around and did not see Wan Tianqing, Huang Ling, and Sima Liang. The 3 of them must have succeeded in rushing in. With their combat strength, even if they could not defeat the sage-to-be demonic creatures, they could still rush in. There were still people here who wanted to rush in. They were all sage-to-be figures. Lu Ming saw Su ran. However, these people's combat strength was much weaker. Under the attack of the sage-to-be demonic creatures, they could only retreat with injuries and flee in a panic. Some first-stage sage-to-be cultivators were directly killed by the sage-to-be demonic creatures with a slap. Buzz. Behind Lu Ming, the prison-suppressing steel appeared. When the demonic creatures saw him, they all retreated. Lu Ming easily passed through the demonic creatures and headed inside. In the depths of this land of bones, there was a valley that led all the way inside. There were no demonic creatures in this valley. Lu Ming rushed here and put away the prison-suppressing steel. Then he retracted his aura and walked into the valley. The valley was very long, but there was no danger at all. Lu Ming moved forward unimpeded. Not long after, they reached the end of the valley. A huge mountain appeared in front of them, blocking their path. There was a cave in the wall at the bottom of the mountain. The light of reincarnation was coming from this cave. A figure stood in front of the cave. It was Sima Liang. Boom, boom. Deep rumbling sounds came from within the cave. It seemed that an intense battle was taking place inside. Sima Liang glanced at Lu Ming as if he had heard the noise. When he discovered Lu Ming's cultivation, his eyes were filled with astonishment, as if he had not expected an 8th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator to be able to come here. Boom, boom. The rumbling sounds in the cave became even more intense. Then a bulky figure rushed out from the cave. It was Zhao Kuang. Zhao Kuang was in a sorry state. There was blood at the corner of his mouth and his aura was weak. Damn it, there are so many puppets. How troublesome. Zhao Kuang cursed. He then swept his gaze and saw Lu Ming. He let out a cry of surprise. The rumbling sounds continued in the cave. Then another figure rushed out from the cave. It was Wan Tianqing. Just like Zhao Kuang, he was injured and in a sorry state. His eyes were filled with coldness. He glanced around and his gaze landed on Lu Ming. Brat, it's you? Wan Tianqing's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Of course it's me. What? Is it because the gift I gave you was too valuable and made you feel grateful? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Especially the word gift, which was especially emphasized. You're courting death. Wan Tianqing exuded a murderous intent that was as cold as a knife. He took a step forward and his sword aura soared into the sky, slashing toward Lu Ming. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Lu Ming actually killed 2 of his subordinates in front of him. This was still a small matter. Later on, he even lured him to this valley and made use of the demonic bear's power to deal with him. At the crucial moment, he even launched a sneak attack on him and seriously injured him. He was so humiliated that he could not wait to skin Lu Ming and pull out his tendons. At this moment, when he saw Lu Ming, he directly killed him. A pagoda floated above Lu Ming's head. Bubble was hiding inside it. Bubble's cultivation was improving rapidly. It had reached the 9th-layer martial dominator realm after refining the energy of the spacetime crystal every day. The spacetime domain encapsulated Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure swayed and dodged Wan Tianqing's attack. That's the spacetime domain. That pagoda has the ability to control the spacetime domain. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's eyes flickered. Trying to run away? Wan Tianqing snapped coldly. Dots of light appeared on his body as sacred weapons appeared. The sacred weapons whistled and unleashed a powerful aura. The 10,000 weapon art, I know it too. Lu Ming bellowed. His body glowed and sacred weapons appeared one after another. Wan Tianqing's eyes widened upon seeing this. He wore a look of disbelief as he yelled, "The 10,000 weapon art? How is this possible? How did you manage to learn it?" Even Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang were dumbfounded. The 10,000 weapon art required one to comprehend the 10,000 weapon domain. It was extremely difficult for ordinary people to comprehend the 10,000 weapon domain. However, the geniuses of the Wan clan were only able to comprehend the 10,000 weapon domain and learn the 10,000 weapon art due to their unique physiques. However, how did Lu Ming learn the 10,000 weapon art? While Wan Tianqing was still in a daze, Lu Ming rushed into the cave with Bubble's help. As soon as he entered the cave, Lu Ming looked around. He saw Huang Ling at first glance. At this moment, Huang Ling looked like she was about to turn into a phoenix. She was bathed in the flames of the immortal heavenly phoenix and was fighting fiercely with a dozen figures. Puppets. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and discovered that although the dozen figures who were fighting fiercely with Huang Ling were in human form, they did not have any vital aura. They were all puppets. These puppets were extremely powerful. They were equivalent to the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, existences with the power of laws. Then Lu Ming looked around and found that the cave was very wide. In the deepest part of the cave there were 2 stone pillars. There was something floating on each of the stone pillars. One of them was a jade talisman, and the other was a pitch-black key. The map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. This was the first thought that came to Lu Ming's mind. However, humanoid puppets were standing around the stone pillars. At a glance, there were several hundred humanoid puppets standing around the stone pillars. All of them were equivalent to the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm. Kill? Chapter 16:16. Boom. One of the puppets punched out, and the air whistled with terrifying power. Lu Ming activated the suppressing hell skill and punched out as well, meeting the puppet's punch. With a loud bang, Lu Ming's body shook slightly, and he felt his arm go numb. What a strong power! Lu Ming felt that the puppet's power was comparable to Su Ran's. Su Ran was a stage 2 half-saint, but he had a superior earth spiritual body. He could fight above his level, and was comparable to a stage 3 half-saint. Kill. 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 Subsequently, more puppets pounced on Lu Ming. There were more than 10 of them. With so many puppets attacking at the same time, their power was shocking. It was no wonder that Wan Tiancheng and the rest were repelled. These puppets were even more difficult to deal with than martial artists of the same level because they were fearless. They had copper skin and iron bones, and their combat power was shocking. With so many puppets, Lu Ming didn't dare to take them head-on. With the help of bubbles, his body kept flickering, avoiding these puppets. Behind him, at the entrance of the cave, Wan Tiancheng rushed in, but he was also besieged by many puppets. The power of one of these puppets was limited, but when more than a dozen of them worked together, their power was amazing. Even a genius like Wan Tiancheng was at a disadvantage. In the end, he retreated unwillingly. With the help of bubbles, Lu Ming was in danger. On the other side, Huang Ling bathed in divine fire and kept charging in, wanting to break through the puppet's encirclement and get the map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. The immortal heavenly phoenix body is indeed extraordinary. It has the characteristic of being immortal. Its vitality is too strong. Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. Huang Ling's battle prowess might be on par with Wan Tiancheng and the others, but her vitality was far superior to Wan Tiancheng and the others. Huang Ling bathed in divine fire and had been hit by the puppets many times, but she still stubbornly charged forward. No, these puppets seemed to be arranged according to a formation. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The cave was huge and there were at least a few hundred puppets scattered all over the place. However, Lu Ming discovered that there were at most a dozen puppets besieging them at the same time. The other puppets remained motionless. For example, when Lu Ming charged through some places, some puppets would stop attacking, but new puppets would join in and besiege him. Their numbers were always around a dozen. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. These puppets seemed to be arranged according to some kind of pattern. With a thought, the second body stepped forward. A Taiji disc floated above his head. Many small Taiji diagrams appeared and scattered on the ground. The ground glowed and veined patterns appeared, forming a huge formation diagram. It really is a formation. Lu Ming muttered. He discovered that the puppets were all standing at key points of the spell formation, and there was something profound about each of their positions. Those puppets attacked according to the operation of the spirit formation. Thus, no matter where they went, there would be over a dozen puppets attacking at the same time. Furthermore, due to the support of the spirit formation, the power of the dozen or so puppets was extremely astonishing. If it were a dozen or so warriors in the third stage of the half-saint realm, they would never be able to stop a genius like Wan Tiancheng. They might even be killed by him. However, a dozen or so puppets in the third stage of the half-saint realm could suppress Wan Tiancheng, Zhao Kuang, and the others and even injure them. This was because of the help of the formation which made the dozen or so puppets extremely powerful. On the other side, Huang Ling looked at Lu Ming after seeing the formation on the ground. When she saw Lu Ming, shock flashed in her eyes. At this moment, the second body took a step forward and disappeared into the area between Lu Ming's eyebrows. Lu Ming's main body, on the other hand, took a step forward. When he took a step forward, the attacks of the dozen puppets strangely hit nothing but air. Then Lu Ming stepped out again. Just like before, the attacks of the dozen or so puppets hit nothing, as if they couldn't hit Lu Ming. A smile emerged on Lu Ming's face. He had already identified the weakness of this array. Every step he took landed on the weak spot of this array. Could also be said that he landed on the blind spot of this array. As a result, the attacks of the puppets all missed. Whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ming seemed to be taking a leisurely stroll. He took one step to the east and one step to the west. The attacks of the puppets were all directed at the side of Lu Ming. None of them hit him. Lu Ming was quickly moving toward the map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. On the other side, Huang Ling was a little anxious. She ignored her injuries and rushed forward forcefully. The two of them approached the two stone pillars at an extremely fast speed. About a minute later, the two of them broke through the encirclement of the puppets and rushed toward the two stone pillars. There were no puppets standing in the area surrounding the two stone pillars. Furthermore, when they broke through the encirclement of the puppets and arrived at this area, those puppets did not chase after them. They all returned to their original positions and stood motionless. Whoosh. Lu Ming grabbed a jade token and the black key was in Huang Ling's hand. Then the two of them looked at each other and the atmosphere was a little tense. Brother, the jade token in your hand should be a map. Why don't you give me the map and let the map and the key merge? Otherwise it's useless for both of us. Huang Ling said in a delicate voice. A powerful aura emanated from her body and locked onto Lu Ming. Indeed, it's useless for both of us. You have the key but you can't find the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. I have the map. Even if I find the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb, I can't enter it. Why don't you give me the key and let the map and the key merge? Lu Ming said with a smile. He stepped back slowly and put up his guard. Lu Ming, damn you. They have the map and the key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. At this moment, a few angry roars were heard. It turned out that Wan Tiancheng, Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang had rushed in. They naturally saw that the map and the key were in the hands of Lu Ming and Huang Ling. However, they were besieged by a group of puppets. They didn't have Huang Ling's immortal body and couldn't withstand the attacks of the puppets. After a while they had to retreat from the cave. You are Lu Ming? Huang Ling blinked her eyes and asked. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. He focused all his attention on Huang Ling and was afraid that she would suddenly attack. Lu Ming, if I attack, I'm afraid you won't be able to keep the map of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Huang Ling said. Is that so? I don't think so. Lu Ming smiled and his glabella shone. His second body stepped out and stood side by side with Lu Ming. A Tai Chi array disc floated above his head and a powerful aura spread out. Doppelganger? No, it's the same person. Amazing, really amazing. Huang Ling's eyes moved between Lu Ming's main body and second body. She was amazed. Huang Ling, although you have the immortal heavenly phoenix body, the word immortal is relative. It's not true that you are immortal. It's just that you have a strong life force. I'm afraid that you are seriously injured and your combat strength has been greatly reduced. If you really want to fight, you might not be my match. Chapter 16-17. Lu Ming's words caused Huang Ling's eyes to flicker. It was true that she was injured after forcing her way through. The immortal heavenly phoenix flesh was not immortal. It only granted her a stronger life force. Once her strength reached a certain level, she would still die. Besides, even if you can defeat me and claim the map of the Reincarnation Monarch's tomb, will you be able to leave this place? There are 3 experts waiting for you outside. Lu Ming continued, causing Huang Ling's eyes to flicker even more. A moment later, Huang Ling's eyes flickered as she let out a smile like a blossoming peony. As a matter of fact, Huang Ling was very beautiful. Among the people Lu Ming had met, only Xian Yanqing and a few others were comparable to her. Lu Ming, why don't we team up? Huang Ling said. Team up? Oh. Lu Ming's gaze flickered as he asked. We'll team up and leave this place together. You have the map and I have the key. We can search for the Reincarnation Monarch's tomb and open it. We'll split the treasures and successions inside. What do you think? Huang Ling said. That's a great idea. All right, I'll do it. Lu Ming agreed after a slight hesitation. Right now there was no better way than this. Lu Ming only had the map but not the key. It was useless even if he had the map. Besides, with his strength, it was almost impossible for him to snatch the key from Huang Ling and escape from the encirclement of Wan Tiancheng and the others. Therefore, it was better to team up with Huang Ling outside the cave. Wan Tiancheng and the others surrounded it with unpleasant looks. Huang Ling, that Lu Ming is my enemy. If you kill him and give me the map, we'll team up and leave this place. What do you think? Wan Tiancheng suddenly spoke. His voice echoed in the cave. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang were startled. If that was the case, they would not be able to stop Huang Ling and Wan Tiancheng if they teamed up. Huang Ling, if you give me the map, I'll team up with you. On top of that, I'll promise you one more thing. As long as it's within my capabilities, I won't hesitate. Zhao Kuang immediately opened his mouth and promised even more generous conditions. Huang Ling, if you join hands with me, you can take more of the treasures inside the Reincarnation Monarch's tomb. Sima Liang also spoke, wanting to join forces with Huang Ling. The way they saw it, there was no problem for Huang Ling to kill Lu Ming. Inside the cave, Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he said, what they said is actually a better idea for you. What do you think? Are you tempted? Who do you think I am? How could he go back on his word? Since I've agreed to work with you, I won't go back on my word. Huang Ling glared at Lu Ming with her beautiful eyes and said with some displeasure. Really? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Of course. Huang Ling had a serious expression on her face and then she said, I need to recuperate now. How about we charge out together once I've fully recovered? Charge out. Lu Ming pondered for a moment. A moment later, his eyes flickered coldly as he said, if you're at your peak, can you hold Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang off for a few minutes? If I'm at my peak, I can easily hold them off for 3 minutes with my secret technique. Any longer and I won't be able to do it. What are you planning to do? Huang Ling said. Kill. Lu Ming said coldly. Kill. Kill Wan Tianqing? Huang Ling's eyes widened. That's right, but it'll take some time. Lu Ming nodded. Huang Ling's eyes flickered with astonishment. Lu Ming said he was going to kill Wan Tianqing? She found it unbelievable. Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak 8th layer martial dominator realm. How could he possibly kill Wan Ling Tianqing? It's quite difficult with my current cultivation, so I need to have a breakthrough. As for you, don't you need to recuperate too? Lu Ming said. That's right, wasn't the puppet formation the best place for him to train himself? Since he was not in a rush to leave, he decided to cultivate here. Once he reached the 9th layer martial dominator realm, he would be able to kill Wan Tianqing. Alright, we'll wait here for a while. Huang Ling walked to the side and sat down with her legs crossed. Her figure was engulfed in flames as she began to recuperate from her injuries, as if she trusted Lu Ming a lot. That being said, it was impossible for her not to be on alert. If Lu Ming were to make any strange moves, she would instantly unleash a powerful attack. Lu Ming let out a smile as his clone returned to the mountain and river pattern. Lu Ming stepped forward and entered the puppet formation. All of a sudden, one by one, the puppets charged toward Lu Ming and attacked him, releasing terrifying attacks. Lu Ming did not dodge the attacks by stepping into the weak spots of the formation. Instead, he fought the puppets head-on. However, these puppets were able to injure Wan Tianqing and the others, thus they were extremely powerful. In just a few moves, Lu Ming was injured and vomited blood. He had no choice but to retreat to the safe zone beside the pillar. Meanwhile, Huang Ling, who was recuperating from her injuries, opened her eyes and said in astonishment, "Flesh of the 9 dragons, did you awaken the bloodline of the 9 dragons before?" That's right, the 9 dragons and the immortal heavenly phoenix are both among the top 10 battle beasts. Don't you think we're a match made in heaven? Lu Ming could not help but tease Huang Ling when he saw her beautiful face. Is that so? If your cultivation can catch up to mine, maybe I'll consider it? Huang Ling's eyes flickered with astonishment as she let out a cunning grin. How long would it take for my cultivation to catch up to yours? Since there are puppets guarding the entrance, it's an auspicious time. Why don't we do it now? Lu Ming's gaze darted all over Huang Ling's curvaceous body. With a sinister smile, he walked toward Huang Ling. What do you want? So you're also a lecher. Don't come over. Huang Ling's expression changed when she saw Lu Ming walking toward her. Phoenix flames spread out from her body as she stared at Lu Ming anxiously. Ha ha ha. Lu Ming suddenly laughed and walked to the side. He sat down cross-legged and started recuperating. Damn it. Huang Ling gritted her teeth. She knew that she had been tricked by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's injuries were not serious. Soon he recovered from his injuries. After he recovered, Lu Ming did not step into the puppet array immediately. Instead he fell into deep thought. Currently he had the 10,000 soldier art, the 13 strikes of power storing, the hell suppressing skill, and the chaotic sky flipping seal. Now he needed to cultivate a realm movement technique to make up for his lack of movement techniques. Lu Ming searched through the 9 dragons' memories. Soon Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He found a movement martial skill. Gale Thunder Steps. To cultivate the Gale Thunder Steps, one needed to comprehend the Gale Thunder territory. This was not a problem for them. The Gale Thunder Steps combined the characteristics of wind and thunder. It moved like lightning and had the agility of the wind. It was a top-notch realm movement technique. Lu Ming studied it carefully. After a few hours, Lu Ming stepped into the puppet array again. More than 10 puppets attacked Lu Ming. Chapter 16-18. Boom. Boom. The long spear and the battle sword clashed with the 2 puppets. Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated. That's the 10,000 weapon art. This time Huang Ling was shocked by Lu Ming again. Lu Ming had actually cultivated the 10,000 weapon art. It was a unique technique of the Wan clan. She felt that Lu Ming was becoming more and more unfathomable. Whoosh, whoosh. At the same time on the other side, a few puppets attacked Lu Ming with lightning speed. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly as he concentrated. Just as the puppets' attacks were about to hit Lu Ming's body suddenly moved. The light of wind and lightning flashed as he narrowly avoided the puppets' attacks. He used the Wind Thunder Steps. Then he attacked with both his long spear and battle sword, blocking the attacks of the other 2 puppets. Lu Ming didn't use the puppet formation's weakness to avoid the attacks. Instead he used his pure combat strength to fight with the puppets and train himself. However, in the puppet formation the combat strength of a dozen puppets was far above him. He could only do his best and push his potential to the limit to fight against the puppet formation. This time, Lu Ming barely blocked 10 moves before he fell into a fatal crisis. Left with no choice, Lu Ming stepped on the puppet formation's weakness to avoid the attacks and retreated to a safe area. After resting, he continued to step into the formation and fought with the puppets. Every time, Lu Ming had to push himself to the limit. When he fell into a fatal crisis, Lu Ming would use the formation's weakness to avoid the attacks. In this way, although Lu Ming couldn't enter the state of emptiness of life and death, his improvement was still fast. When he first started cultivating the Wind Thunder Steps, his improvement was the fastest. He broke through continuously and soon reached the 3rd level. As for the Primal Chaos Domain, his improvement was also fast. It started to break through to the 9th level. Outside the cave, Wan Chanqing, Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's faces were gloomy. They stood outside and stared at the cave. When they heard the intense rumbling sound coming from the cave, the 3 of them had different expressions. What happened inside? Could it be that Huang Ling dealt with that brat? Several people guessed. Let's go in and take a look. Wan Chanqing spoke coldly as he rushed into the cave. Then Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang also rushed into the cave. As soon as they rushed into the cave, they were besieged by the puppets. At the same time they saw Lu Ming fighting with the puppets. The 3 of them looked puzzled and left the cave. How did that brat fight with the puppet? Could it be that they would also be attacked by the puppets when they come out after obtaining the map and key? Zhao Kuang was puzzled. That should be the case. Sima Liang said. If they can rush in, they can definitely rush out. We just have to wait here. When they come out, we'll kill them and then we'll get the map and the key. The 3 of us will rely on our own abilities. Wan Chanqing's eyes were cold. He had to kill Lu Ming. That brat, why is he able to cultivate the 10,000 soldier art? Could it be because of his domain? That kid's domain is very similar to the legendary Primal Chaos Domain, but in this world, is there really someone who can cultivate the Primal Chaos Domain? Wan Chanqing's mind was filled with thoughts. The 3 of them had been guarding outside the cave. Meanwhile, Lu Ming was making the best use of his time to cultivate. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Inside the cave, Lu Ming's figure kept flickering as he fought against the puppets. Lu Ming's spear was like a dragon and his sword was piercing through the sky. His strength was shocking as he kept clashing with the puppets. Bang, bang, bang. After a few collisions, Lu Ming borrowed the powerful force and retreated to the safe zone. Where did this Lu Ming come from? He's so talented. It seems like he's improving every day. He has reached the 9th layer Martial Dominator realm from the 8th layer Martial Dominator realm in such a short time. Huang Ling's eyes were filled with astonishment. During this period, Huang Ling had already recovered from her injuries. She had also fought against the puppets, but her improvement was not as fast as Lu Ming's. My domain has reached the middle stage of the 9th layer. Lu Ming smiled. In fact, 5 days ago, Lu Ming's domain had broken through the 9th layer. Then he had swallowed a large number of origin stones and raised his cultivation to the 9th layer Martial Dominator realm. Now, his chaotic domain had improved again and reached the middle stage of the 9th layer. Am I born to fight? My cultivation speed is really fast in the midst of battle. Even Lu Ming was surprised by his improvement. In a life and death battle, he was usually highly focused and his mind was abnormally active. Regardless of whether it was martial skills or domains, the speed of his comprehension was very shocking. Now, Lu Ming had cultivated the Gale Thunder Steps to the completion stage. His movement was like a thunderstorm and his speed was amazing. Now, Lu Ming was waiting for an opportunity. That was Ming Lian's second body, because Ming Lian's second body was about to break through. Ming Lian's second body had already lit 8 spirit lamps. Now he was about to light 9 spirit lamps. Once Ming Lian's second body lit 9 spirit lamps, he would be able to control the Tai Chi formation disc and its power would be stronger. Then it would be time for them to strike. Now that my cultivation has broken through, I should be able to seal more sacred weapons. Lu Ming thought. Then he began to cultivate the 10,000 weapon art. He took out a sacred weapon and began to seal it. A dot of light lit up on Lu Ming's chest. This sacred weapon was successfully sealed. This was the 11th sacred weapon. Back then Wan Chanqing had only sealed 12 sacred weapons. I haven't reached my limit yet. Continue. Lu Ming took out another sacred weapon and began to seal it. Not long after, the 12th sacred weapon was successfully sealed. At this time, Lu Ming finally felt that he had reached his limit. If he continued to seal, his body might not be able to take it. With a thought, the 12 acupoints on his body lit up. 12 sacred weapons appeared and floated around his body. What kind of monster is this? He concealed 12 sacred weapons at the 9th layer martial royal realm. Huang Ling was shocked. She was already numb to Lu Ming's various abnormal behaviors. At this time Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Ming Lian's second body had already begun to break through. Inside the mountain and river diagram, a bright spirit flame jumped between Ming Lian's second body's eyebrows. The golden spirit flame was extremely vigorous, burning like a divine flame. The Tai Chi formation disc floated above his head. Light constantly scattered and poured into the second body's body. Inside the second body's sea of consciousness, 8 golden psychic lamps shone brilliantly. Suddenly the 9th psychic lamp lit up, emitting a golden flame. Buzz! The Tai Chi formation disc scattered rays of light and poured into Lu Ming's mind, causing the flame on the 9th spirit lamp to become more vigorous and bright. At this moment, several spirit rings appeared on the second body's body. There were a total of 9 spirit rings. The first 8 spirit rings each had 10 dots of light, which represented perfection. Only the last golden spirit ring had 9 dots of light. Chapter 16-19. The cultivation of the way of inscription was completely different from that of martial arts before reaching the Saint realm. Inscriptions could be regarded as a simplified version of the Dharma. Inscriptions could directly communicate with heaven and earth and borrow the energy between heaven and earth. Therefore, after reaching the peak of level 9, one could directly communicate with and comprehend the Dharma. However, after reaching the Saint realm, there was basically no difference between the way of inscription and martial arts. After all methods returned to the origin and the great path. No matter what way it was the same in the end. When the way of inscription was cultivated to the Saint realm, it also condensed the Saint heart, transformed spiritual power into Saint power and controlled the Dharma. It was the same as martial arts. At this time Lu Ming smiled and looked at Huang Ling. He said, "Now let's go. Are you sure? If not, we'll rush out at the end. Don't put yourself in danger." Huang Ling said. She was still worried. Lu Ming's plan was to kill Wan Tiancheng. Although Lu Ming had broken through to the 9th level of the martial royal realm, could he really succeed? Don't worry. Even if we can't kill him, they can't do anything to us. Lu Ming smiled confidently. Then he got up and walked toward the puppet formation. He said, "Follow my steps." After saying that, Lu Ming stepped into the puppet formation. A dozen puppets immediately attacked Lu Ming, but those attacks missed. Then he took another step. Huang Ling followed Lu Ming and stepped on the place where Lu Ming had just stepped. In this way Huang Ling followed Lu Ming's footsteps and stepped on the weakness of the puppet formation. They easily passed through the puppet formation and stepped out of the cave one after another. "They're out." As soon as Lu Ming and Huang Ling stepped out of the cave, they heard a cold shout. Then 3 terrifying auras burst out and locked onto Lu Ming and Huang Ling. Especially Wan Tiancheng, who emitted a cold murderous intent. "You're finally out. Huang Ling, I gave you a chance before. Unfortunately, you didn't know how to cherish it." Wan Tiancheng said coldly. "Cut the crap. Wan Tiancheng, didn't you want to kill me? Let's fight." Lu Ming shouted and his aura erupted. He took a step forward and the earth rumbled. 12 light spots were emitted from his body and 12 sacred weapons were suspended in the air. Each sacred weapon emitted a dazzling brilliance. The aura of the sacred weapon soared into the sky and connected with each other. Lu Ming held the black dragon spear and stabbed it at Wan Tiancheng. 12 sacred weapons? Die. Wan Tiancheng roared and 12 sacred weapons appeared on his body. He held a battle sword and slashed at Lu Ming. There was a deep jealousy in his eyes. Lu Ming was actually able to seal the 12 sacred weapons. One had to know that when he sealed the 12 sacred weapons, he had already reached the half-step sage realm. Clang. The black dragon spear and Wan Tiancheng's combat sword collided heavily. The battle weapon chi continued to resist, making rumbling noises. Lu Ming could feel a terrifying force constantly attacking the black dragon spear. That was the power of loss. Even Lu Ming's level 9 chaotic domain seemed to be unable to withstand it. Buzz. The black dragon spear vibrated, and Lu Ming's body rapidly retreated by 5 to 6 steps. Wan Tiancheng's eyes turned cold. He did not expect that Lu Ming would be able to withstand his attack and only retreat a few steps. He was not injured. Swoosh. At this moment Huang Ling rushed to the side. "Where do you think you're going? Stay here." Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang shouted and chased after Huang Ling. Huang Ling, who was flying rapidly, suddenly stopped. Her body was covered in flames. She was bathed in the flames of the immortal heavenly phoenix. her entire body seemed to have turned into flames. A phoenix cry rang out, and a huge immortal heavenly phoenix bathed in flames rushed out of Huang Ling's body and flew in circles in the sky. Boom, boom. Then a large area of flames spread out, enveloping Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang, forming a flaming cage. Lu Ming, you have to hurry up. I can only hold them off for 3 minutes at most. End this quickly. Huang Ling's voice came from the flames. Then intense rumbling noises came from the flames, and Zhao Kuang roared like a beast. End this quickly? Haha, does Huang Ling think that you can kill me? Wan Tianqing laughed crazily as if he had heard a very funny joke. Kill. Lu Ming did not waste any time. He did not have much time. He took a step forward and directly used the divine sword art. His eyes were like swords, blasting into Wan Tianqing's body and his spiritual deity. However, Wan Tianqing's body only trembled slightly before returning to normal. He shouted coldly, "Unfortunately, a soul attack is useless against me. Is this your trump card? You want to kill me with this? I will let you know how naive you are." Whoosh. Wan Tianqing held the battle sword in his hand, and the sword chi was like a rainbow. The energy of the other 11 battle weapons was added to the battle sword, causing the battle sword's power to reach an astonishing level. He slashed at Lu Ming. A spiritual deity defensive treasure. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Obviously, Wan Tianqing had a spiritual deity defensive treasure. That was why he could block Lu Ming's divine sword art attack. This was normal. It was normal for a genius like Wan Tianqing to have a spiritual deity defensive treasure to protect his soul. After all, soul attacks were impossible to guard against. Without a spiritual deity defensive treasure, one might not even know how they died. Kill. Lu Ming shouted again and still used the divine sword art. Although Wan Tianqing had a spiritual deity defensive treasure, the divine sword art could still interfere. At the same time, Lu Ming held the black dragon spear and unleashed his true origin to the extreme, charging towards Wan Tianqing. Boom, boom. The two exchanged a few moves in a row, but Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage. Is this all you've got? You want to kill me? Naive. Wan Tianqing sneered and attacked Lu Ming. His attack was even more violent, and his sword chi was wild. Lu Ming's eyes were calm. At this moment, his glabella shone, and a pagoda floated out. Buzz. Suddenly, there was a strange fluctuation from the pagoda. A transparent bubble suddenly appeared around Wan Tianqing's body and enveloped him. Space-time domain. You have a space-time domain treasure. Wan Tianqing roared and unleashed his full strength. The Dharma surrounded his body and broke the shackles of the space-time domain, trying to destroy the transparent bubble. However, the bubble had reached the 9th level of the martial royal realm. As a space-time spirit mouse, one of the top 10 battle beasts, its talent was beyond doubt. Even though it was still young, it was still very terrifying. Its talent had completely surpassed that of an inferior heaven spiritual body like Wan Tianqing. Therefore, even though the bubble's cultivation was far behind Wan Tianqing's, its combat strength was not too far behind. Wan Tianqing couldn't break the transparent bubble at all. Bang, bang. Lu Ming stepped on the void, holding a spear in one hand and a sword in the other, and charged towards Wan Tianqing. The space-time domain had no effect on Lu Ming. Chapter 1620. Wan Tianqing roared. 12 holy weapons surrounded his body. There were all kinds of holy weapons including several defensive ones. Each holy weapon was surrounded by the power of law. Wan Tianqing used the defensive holy weapon to protect his body. At the same time, he waved his battle sword to fight against the space-time blade and fought against Lu Ming. For a moment, the two sides were tied. Wan Tianqing was indeed very powerful. With the inferior heavenly spiritual body, his body was as sharp as a divine weapon. Coupled with the law of weapons, he could destroy everything. Even with the help of bubbles, Lu Ming could only tie with Wan Tianqing. Lu Ming had broken through to the 9th level of the martial royal realm. If he was in the 8th level of the martial royal realm, he would not be a match for him at all. Lu Ming and Bubbles were at a disadvantage because of the law. The two of them only used the realm. The realm and the law were two completely different concepts. No matter how strong the chaotic realm and the space-time realm were, there was still a gap between them and Wan Tianqing's law of weapons. Of course, if Lu Ming went one step further and turned the 9th level realm into an ultimate realm, its power would soar again. It would not be a problem for him to suppress Wan Tianqing. Boom. Boom. The two sides kept colliding with each other. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Damn it! How can this guy be so strong? Wan Tianqing roared in his heart. When he first met Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak of the 6th level of the martial royal realm. In Wan Tianqing's eyes, Lu Ming was an ant that he could kill easily. But now, Lu Ming's cultivation had soared to the 9th level of the martial royal realm. Even Wan Tianqing was shocked by the speed of his progress. However, he didn't take a 9th level martial royal realm seriously at all. Even if he was also a genius with an inferior heavenly spiritual body, he could kill him with one slap. However, Lu Ming relied on his own strength and a treasure that could release the spacetime realm to tie with him. This made him even more determined to kill Lu Ming. Otherwise, when Lu Ming went one step further and broke through to the half-saint, he would be no match for him at all. Kill, kill. Wan Tianqing roared. 2 more light spots lit up on his body. 2 more saint weapons flew out from the 2 dots of light. There were a total of 14 saint weapons, and the battle weapon chi of the 14 saint weapons stacked together, making them even more powerful. Sure enough, Wan Tianqing had been holding back before. Whoosh, whoosh. Sword light streaked across the sky. Bubble's spacetime domain was forcibly broken by Wan Tianqing. At the same time, Lu Ming was repelled. Die. Wan Tianqing roared. His eyes flashed with killing intent as he charged towards Lu Ming. Primal chaos flipping heaven seal. Lu Ming muttered as he released the saint weapon in his hand. A chaotic cyclic sky seal appeared on his palm. Lu Ming smashed the chaotic flipping sky seal towards Wan Tianqing. Boom. With an earth-shattering boom, Lu Ming and Wan Tianqing's bodies shook at the same time and retreated. Impossible. Wan Tianqing roared in his heart. Lu Ming still had a trump card that he hadn't used yet. Wan Tianqing had done his best, but he still couldn't defeat Lu Ming. It was hard for him to accept. The chaotic flipping sky seal at 60% power is still too weak. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Just now, he had used 60% of the chaotic flipping sky seal. In fact, when Lu Ming used the 10,000 weapon art now, the power was already very strong. It was very close to the power of the chaotic flipping sky seal. After all, Lu Ming had only cultivated the chaotic flipping sky seal to the 4th level. Lu Ming couldn't defeat Wan Tianqing with the 10,000 weapon art. Even if he used 60% of the chaotic flipping sky seal, it wouldn't be much stronger. But even so, Wan Tianqing was already shocked. Bang. Lu Ming took a step back and immediately took a step forward. Another chaotic flipping sky seal with 60% of its prowess condensed in his palm. The chaotic flipping sky seal expanded rapidly and pressed down on Wan Tianqing. Break it. Wan Tianqing roared. The 14 holy weapons circled around and formed a terrifying sword chi. It rushed up and blasted on the chaotic flipping sky seal. Boom. The chaotic flipping sky seal trembled and then collapsed. The battle weapon chi on Wan Tianqing's battle sword also collapsed and he retreated a few steps. Lu Ming, you can't do anything to me. When Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang break through Huang Ling's obstruction, it will be the time of your death. Wan Tianqing roared. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He didn't say anything. Another chaotic flipping sky seal condensed in his palm and blasted toward Wan Tianqing. Wan Tianqing tried his best to resist. At this moment, Lu Ming's glabella shone. Ming Lian's second body stepped out. The Tai Chi disc array floated in the air and a Tai Chi pattern appeared. It pressed down on Wan Tianqing. The Tai Chi pattern had terrifying offensive and sealing power. Facing the joint attack of the Tai Chi pattern and the chaotic flipping sky seal, Wan Tianqing was finally defeated. He was sent flying and slid on the ground, leaving a deep gully. He spat out a mouthful of blood. What's going on? Clone? No, it's the same person. Wan Tianqing was shocked when he saw the 2 Lu Ming. How could the same person have 2 bodies? Before he could think further, Lu Ming's main body and second body attacked Wan Tianqing again. Previously, Lu Ming didn't use his second body at the beginning because he wanted to catch Wan Tianqing off guard and severely injure him. Don't even think about killing me. Wan Tianqing roared as 14 sacred weapons surrounded him. He already knew that he wasn't a match for Lu Ming. He started to defend with all his strength. He didn't want to make any mistakes. Boom, boom. Lu Ming's attack blasted toward Wan Tianqing. The 14 sacred weapons around Wan Tianqing glowed and surrounded him with the power of laws. A terrifying explosion sounded and Wan Tianqing was sent flying. He coughed up blood again, but he was still blocked. Haha, you can't kill me. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang are about to break free. At that time you'll be the one to die. Wan Tianqing laughed crazily with a ferocious look on his face. On the other side, Huang Ling was fighting against Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang. The undying cage formed by Huang Ling couldn't hold on for much longer. Is that so? Lu Ming's eyes were still calm. Whoosh. The void shook as Bubble attacked. Spacetime blades slashed toward Wan Tianqing. Clang, 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 clang. The space-time blades kept slashing at the sacred weapons around Wan Tianqing, causing them to shake violently. Buzz. At this moment, the sky shook and a mountain-like primal chaos cyclic sky seal appeared. The power that this primal chaos cyclic sky seal exuded was much more terrifying than the previous primal chaos cyclic sky seal. It was a primal chaos cyclic sky seal at full power. Boom. This time Lu Ming used his full strength. The primal chaos cyclic sky seal at full power suppressed Wan Tianqing. Wan Tianqing's pupils shrank rapidly as fear flashed in his eyes. Block it. I must block it. Wan Tianqing roared in his heart. The true yuan in his body boiled as if it was going to burn. His spiritual body glowed and surrounded by the power of laws. He squeezed out all the power in his body and burst it out. At this moment, Wan Tianqing seemed to have entered another mysterious realm. His potential was suppressed to the extreme. This is the feeling of the jar of laws. As long as I don't die this time, I will be able to break through to the third stage of the half-saint realm, the jar of laws. Chapter 1621. He didn't expect to be pushed to the limit by Lu Ming. His potential erupted and he made a major breakthrough. As long as he found a place to cultivate in seclusion for a month, he would be able to break through to the third stage of the half-saint realm. The premise was that he had to survive. Block it. I must block it. As long as Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang break through the encirclement, I won't die. As long as I break through to the third stage of the half-saint realm, my strength will skyrocket. At that time, it will be their time to die. Wan Tianqing roared in his heart. The 14 saint weapons glowed and merged together to form a powerful layer of defense. Boom. The full power of the chaotic sky-flipping seal pressed down and bombarded Wan Tianqing's defense. The rock under Wan Tianqing's feet exploded and the ground cracked, creating a huge pit. The saint weapons around Wan Tianqing were blown away one by one. In the end, only a few of them were left floating around his body. Wan Tianqing's face turned pale and he vomited blood. At this moment, the Tai Chi disc above the second body shone and another Tai Chi pattern floated. This time the Tai Chi pattern suddenly changed. The yin-yang fish separated and turned into two swords, one black and one white. The two yin-yang fish swords emitted a terrifying fluctuation and slashed towards Wan Tianqing. The two yin-yang fish swords were extremely powerful. Wan Tianqing's eyes were filled with despair. He forced himself to use his remaining strength to control the remaining saint weapons around him to block the attack. However, the saint weapons were directly blown away by the yin-yang fish swords. The yin-yang fish swords continued to slash towards Wan Tianqing. No! Wan Tianqing roared in despair. He had just made a major breakthrough. After a while, he would be able to break through to the next stage of the half-race battlefield. At that time, he would be able to dominate the half-race battlefield. He wouldn't even be afraid of a saint stage expert. But now he was in a desperate situation. How unwilling was he to accept this? The yin-yang fish sword slashed across and beheaded Wan Tianqing. The other pierced through Wan Tianqing's dantian and destroyed his spiritual deity. Wan Tianqing was dead. Boom. At this moment, Huang Ling's undying cage was broken. She retreated frantically with a pale face and blood dripped from the corner of her mouth. Evidently, Huang Ling had paid quite a price in order to trap Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang. Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang rushed out of the flame cage. However, the two of them retreated at the same time as they looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming had killed Wan Tianqing. A man of the 9th level of the martial royal realm had killed Wan Tianqing, a peerless genius who had reached the second stage of the half-saint realm. How was that possible? This greatly exceeded Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang's expectations. Their gazes were incomparably grave. If Lu Ming could kill Wan Tianqing, it meant that he could also kill the two of them. Huang Ling, who was standing aside, looked at Lu Ming in shock. Her eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Previously, when Lu Ming said that he wanted to kill Wan Tianqing, she was completely skeptical and took a gamble. If they couldn't kill Wan Tianqing, they could only break out of the encirclement with all their strength. He didn't expect that Lu Ming could really kill Wan Tianqing in just a few minutes. Now it's your turn. Lu Ming glanced at Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang with a cold gaze. Their expressions changed tremendously. Let's go, let's leave this place first. Sima Liang let out a furious roar as he dashed out of the valley. Following this, Zhao Kuang followed behind him and left the valley. Although they were unwilling to give up, they had no choice but to give up. Now, only the two of them were left, while Lu Ming and Huang Ling were left. Although Huang Ling was injured, she could easily deal with one of them. If Lu Ming was dealing with the other one, they would be in great danger. They had no choice but to flee under such circumstances. Only Huang Ling and Lu Ming were left in the valley. Huang Ling glanced at Lu Ming alertly and said, "Lu Ming, your strength is quite shocking. You even managed to kill Wan Tianqing. Are you going to attack me?" Lu Ming's strength was too shocking. She could not help but overthink. If Lu Ming attacked her and killed her, he would be able to obtain the map and the key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Although her immortal heavenly phoenix body was very tenacious, she was not sure if Lu Ming had any other trump cards. "What do you think?" Lu Ming looked at Huang Ling with a faint smile. Huang Ling's expression changed slightly as she took a step back. "Ha ha ha." Lu Ming laughed and said, "Don't worry. You didn't attack me before I broke through. Why would I attack you now? I, Lu Ming, am not that kind of person. You're injured. Heal yourself first. I need to recover too." After saying that, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged at the side. He took out a pile of origin stones and started devouring them to recover. It was undeniable that Wan Tianqing was indeed powerful and extremely difficult to kill. Just now, in order to kill Wan Tianqing, Lu Ming had used all his trump cards. With the cooperation of the main body and the second body, as well as the help of Bubble, they were able to kill Wan Tianqing. In this battle, Lu Ming had consumed a lot of his genuine essence. He was left with less than half. Ming Lian's second body put away Wan Tianqing's holy weapon and storage ring. Then he stepped out and disappeared into the main body. When Huang Ling saw Lu Ming recuperating by the side, she secretly heaved a sigh of relief. She patted her chest and then sat cross-legged. Immortal flames spread from her body and she began to recuperate. About half an hour later, the two of them stood up at the same time. "Let's get out of here first," Lu Ming said and walked out. Huang Ling followed closely behind Lu Ming. When Lu Ming and the others arrived at the Land of Bones, a half-saint demonic creature roared and pounced on Lu Ming. 9 seals of the Divine Gate. Lu Ming moved his hands. 8 gates of seal appeared and sealed the half-saint demonic creature. At the same time, Lu Ming moved his body and stretched out his claw to grab the demon crystal of the half-saint demonic creature. Now, such an ordinary first-stage half-saint demonic creature was no match for Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming could kill it at will. Then 2 more half-saint demonic creatures pounced on them. One of them had reached the second stage half-saint, the stage of comprehending the laws. Lu Ming called out Bubble to help. He trapped the demonic creature with the space-time domain and easily obtained the demon crystal. An earth-shattering roar sounded. A huge demonic creature, exuding a terrifying aura, pounced on Lu Ming. A vast holy aura rushed toward him. A saint-level demonic creature. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. A saint-level demonic creature was not something he could defeat now. Even if he joined forces with his second body and Bubble, they would not be a match for a saint-level demonic creature. Behind him, the prison-suppressing steel emerged and grew rapidly. The saint-level demonic creature roared and showed a look of horror. It turned around and ran. However, the other half-saint demonic creatures also ran away and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming was speechless. After using the prison-suppressing steel, not only did the saint-level demonic creatures run away, but even the half-saint demonic creatures also ran away. Chapter 1622. Prison-suppressing steel. At the side, Huang Ling revealed a look of shock. She had lost count of the number of times she had been shocked, and it was all because of Lu Ming. How many more secrets did Lu Ming have? Huang Ling realized that she could no longer see through Lu Ming. Lu Ming took out the prison-suppressing steel and the two of them passed through the valley easily. When they were near the valley, Lu Ming put away the prison-suppressing steel. More than half a month had passed and there were still a few people wandering outside the valley. When they saw Huang Ling and Lu Ming coming out, their eyes lit up. However, when they looked at Huang Ling, they had a solemn expression. Obviously, Zhao Kuang and Sima Liang had said something after coming out. These people should know that Huang Ling and Lu Ming had obtained the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. "Get lost or die," Huang Ling shouted coldly, exuding a cold, murderous intent. Those people's expressions changed drastically and they turned around to leave. Lu Ming smiled and flew toward the exit with Huang Ling at high speed. "Lu Ming, I'm really curious. Which Emperor-level force are you from?" Huang Ling asked curiously while flying in the air. "I'm not from an Emperor-level force," Lu Ming said. "Not from an Emperor-level force? How is that possible?" Huang Ling was extremely surprised. How was it possible that he was not from an Emperor-level force and yet he had such combat strength? Huang Ling had thought that Lu Ming was a genius disciple of an ancient sect. Lu Ming smiled and did not explain further. Soon the two of them arrived at the crack and flew out. Soon the two of them arrived at a mountain peak. "Lu Ming, how about looking at the map? Let's see where the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb is." The two of us can go there now. Huang Ling said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and took out the jade token. After scanning it with his spiritual consciousness, Lu Ming's expression changed. How is it? Seeing Lu Ming's expression change, Huang Ling quickly asked. I'm afraid we can't find the reincarnation emperor's tomb. Lu Ming said. Can't find it? What's going on? Could it be that this map is fake? Huang Ling said unwillingly. They had spent so much effort to get the map and key to the reincarnation emperor's tomb. If it was fake, it would be too much of a blow. It might not be fake. Take a look yourself. Lu Ming said. Then his true chi poured into the jade token and a picture appeared in the air. Mountains, mountain peak of a map of the world of mountains and lakes. However, this map was incomplete. It was easy to tell that this was only a corner of a complete map. Why is there only a corner? Huang Ling's expression. Take a look at your key. Is there anything unusual about it? Lu Ming said. Huang Ling quickly took out the key and looked at it carefully. Sure enough, they found a number on the key. 3. This should be a serial number. It seems like the key and map of the reincarnation monarch's tomb are not a set, but divided into several parts. Only by obtaining all of these parts can we find the reincarnation monarch's tomb and open it. Lu Ming said. It was obvious that the map they obtained was incomplete. It was also obvious that there was more than one key. What a pity. Huang Ling sighed. Only a part of it was completely useless. As for the other parts, where were they supposed to find them? I have a question that I'm very curious about. How did you know that the map and key to the reincarnation emperor's tomb appeared nearby? Lu Ming asked. Previously, when I was traveling, I was ambushed by the natives, but they were killed by me. I learned about it from the natives who ambushed me. Huang Ling explained. A native? Lu Ming frowned and said, It's obvious that Zhao Kuang, Sima Liang, Wan Tianqing, and the others are here too. Most likely. Huang Ling nodded. Since that's the case, it's possible that more people know about it. Therefore, I'm guessing that other maps and keys have appeared in other places. If we want to open the reincarnation emperor's tomb, I'm afraid we'll have to cooperate with those who have the maps and keys. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, It's very likely. Legend has it that when the 1,000-killing martial emperor obtained the tomb of the Great Massacre Emperor, the keys to open the tomb were also distributed to many people. It's most likely the same this time. Huang Ling's eyes lit up. She then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, let's go to Dark Water City. Perhaps we'll be able to obtain some information there. Dark Water City? Lu Ming was puzzled. You probably haven't stepped into the depths of the 100-tribe battlefield yet. In the depths of the 100-tribe battlefield, the natives have built a total of 4 huge cities. Darkwater City is one of them. It can be said to be one of the largest cities in the 100-tribe battlefield. Almost all of the strongest geniuses from the various forces who have entered the 100-tribe battlefield have gathered near these 4 cities. Those who can obtain the map and key to the reincarnation emperor's tomb are definitely not weak. Therefore, we might be able to obtain some useful information from Darkwater City. Huang Ling explained. The place where the strongest geniuses gather. Alright, let's go to Darkwater City. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he agreed without hesitation. With his current cultivation, there was no value in gaining experience in the periphery of the 100-tribe battlefield. Only by entering the depths of the 100-tribe battlefield would he be able to encounter stronger opponents. After their discussion, the two of them flew towards the depths of the 100-tribe battlefield. Along the way they encountered some young geniuses. However, when Huang Ling's aura was revealed, the expressions of those geniuses changed drastically. None of them would overestimate themselves and challenge them. The two of them hurried along at an astonishing speed. In just 2 days, a huge city appeared in front of them. Looking from afar, the city was vast and majestic. It was like a huge beast crawling in front of them. That was Darkwater City. Before the city gate of Darkwater City there was a huge lake. The strange thing was that the water in the lake was dark and looked pitch black. There were many figures above the lake and they stood in the air. At a glance they were all young people. There were both men and women, but all of them had powerful auras. Half-saints. Lu Ming looked over and found that most of these young people were half-saints. Some of them even exuded a faint power of law. Obviously, they were existences who had stepped into the second stage of the half-saint realm. Only a few of them were below the half-saint realm. There were very few of them. So many experts. No wonder it's one of the 4 largest cities in the depths of the 100-tribe battlefield. Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. At a glance, they were all half-saints and geniuses. It was a spectacular sight. Boom, boom. On the surface of the lake, there were continuous roars. Two figures were fiercely fighting. The lake water tumbled under the terrifying force, stirring up thousands of waves. A red figure and a blue figure were surrounded by the power of law. The power of law was constantly colliding with each other. These two were experts in the second stage of the half-saint realm. The others were watching the battle between the two. What's going on? Chapter 1623. As far as Lu Ming knew, there was an Azura platform in every city. Why were these young geniuses having a great battle here? Lu Ming Darkwater City is one of the 4 largest cities in the 100-tribe battlefield. The local experts in the city are also very strong. I'm afraid there will be someone at the peak of the Bright Sage realm. Huang Ling explained. The natives had lived in the 100-tribe battlefield since they were young, so they had adapted to the chaotic laws of the 100-tribe battlefield. Some of the more talented ones could cultivate to the Saint realm. However, the strongest could only reach the Bright Sage realm. The peak of the Bright Sage realm was the strongest in the 100-tribe battlefield. The peak of the Bright Saint realm is too strong. With my strength, I'm afraid I won't be able to fight back. That's why no one dares to make a move in Darkwater City. However, there's only one Azura stage and it's in short supply. Therefore, many Sky Prides will fight outside the city. Huang Ling continued to explain. Lu Ming nodded. It was easy to understand. Outside the city, the local experts would not care about it. Lu Ming and Huang Ling's arrival attracted many people's attention. Many people looked at them. When most people saw Huang Ling, their faces changed and they looked grave and fearful. Lu Ming thought to himself that Huang Ling was very famous in Darkwater City. She was also very powerful. The heavenly spiritual body seemed to be a terrifying existence even in the depths of the 100-tribe battlefield. Of course, many people looked at Lu Ming in surprise. A LV9 Martial Royal Realm Cultivator dares to come to Darkwater City. It's rare. Any LV9 Martial Royal Realm Cultivator who dares to come to Darkwater City has great combat strength. They are very confident in their own combat strength. This person is with Huang Ling. Is he also a powerful cultivator? That's hard to say. Those who are not strong enough will also come to see the world. Some people looked at Lu Ming and whispered among themselves. Bam, bam. At this moment, a young man stepped on the void and landed in front of Lu Ming, emitting the aura of a peak LV9 Martial Emperor. A powerful aura directly locked onto Lu Ming. It's Huang Qi. This guy has his eyes on the 9th layer Martial Dominator. Huang Qi's combat strength is very strong. With his cultivation at the peak of the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm, he once fought with a Stage 1 sage to be expert for more than 100 moves before he was defeated. It seems that he is eager to hunt. Some people in the surroundings spoke with the mentality of watching a good show. 9th layer of the Martial Emperor realm, since you dare to come to Darkwater City, you must be very confident in your battle strength. Now let's fight. Holy Lady Huang Ling, you won't interfere, right? Huang Qi looked at Lu Ming with battle intent. His last sentence was directed at Huang Ling, as you wish. Huang Ling waved her hands casually and took a few steps back, implying that she would not interfere. However, her eyes were filled with pity as she glanced at Huang Qi. This guy dares to challenge Lu Ming. He's courting death. If he knew that Lu Ming had even slain the 10,000 celestial realm, his expression would be even more shocking. You are no match against me, Lu Ming said calmly. He was not interested in a 9th layer Martial Dominator realm cultivator, as it would not be useful for him to train himself. Lu Ming was too lazy to even attack him. That being said, he was telling the truth, but to Huang Qi's ears, it sounded like Lu Ming was being full of himself. How arrogant. I've even fought against a half-sage to be. You're quite arrogant when you're only a 9th layer Martial Dominator realm cultivator. We'll know if I'm your match after the battle. Huang Qi's eyes became cold as his aura grew stronger. At that instant, Lu Ming's eyes became cold. This was because he felt a sharp qi attack his back at a frightening speed. Without hesitation, Lu Ming turned around and lashed out a punch. Clang. Lu Ming's punch collided with a long sword that was as thin as a cicada's wings. A terrifying fist intent exploded as a figure appeared out of nowhere and was sent flying by the force. This figure was wearing a black robe. His entire body was covered by the black robe. Only a pair of eyes could be seen and they were filled with shock. It's the assassin of the 1,000 Assassins sect. Someone yelled. Whoosh. The assassin of the 1,000 Assassins sect immediately executed his movement technique after failing to kill Lu Ming. His figure was emitting the aura of the ultimate domain. The assassin's cultivation was at the 1st layer half-martial sacred realm, which was similar to the 2 assassins that had tried to assassinate Lu Ming previously. You want to leave after failing to assassinate me? Did I allow you to do so? Lu Ming coldly spoke. Wind and lightning aura flashed around his body. With a ripping sound, Lu Ming's figure shot out like a bolt of lightning. He tore through the void and chased after the assassin with shocking speed. The assassin of the Thousand Assassin sect was extremely fast. However, Lu Ming's wind lightning steps had already been cultivated to perfection. With the help of the wind-freezing pearl, his speed was even more shocking. He was far above the assassin of the Thousand Assassin sect. Many people only saw a flash of lightning and Lu Ming's figure appeared above the assassin of the Thousand Assassin sect. Then he raised his foot and stomped down on the assassin. Lu Ming executed the hell-suppressing heavenly art. His entire body seemed to have transformed into a huge hell-suppressing steel that could suppress everything. Boom. This stomp destroyed all the attacks and defenses of the Thousand Assassin sect's assassin. Then it heavily stomped on the assassin's head. Bang. The assassin's head and body were like a watermelon that exploded in the air. One move and he was dead. This assassin was also a genius. He had a superior earth spiritual body and was in the first stage of the half-saint realm. Although he couldn't be ranked among the top 10 monstrous geniuses in the Tsang province, he was still one of the stronger ones. However, he was instantly killed by Lu Ming. After coming to the 100-tribe battlefield for a few months, Lu Ming's strength had unknowingly increased by leaps and bounds. What powerful battle strength! Many young geniuses in the surroundings narrowed their eyes and revealed looks of shock. Lu Ming's cultivation was very clear. He was in the early 9th stage of the Martial King realm. However, he had killed a first-stage half-saint genius in one move. Such battle strength was shocking. Many people present were in the first stage of the half-saint realm. If they encountered Lu Ming, they would probably end up in the same situation. Some of the second-stage half-saints who had comprehended the laws had extremely serious expressions. Another heaven spiritual body. Someone said solemnly. There weren't many heaven spiritual bodies even in Darkwater City, which was the center of the 100-tribe battlefield. Each one of them was extremely powerful. Heaven spiritual bodies weren't cabbages that could be found everywhere. Some emperor-level forces that weren't very lucky might not even have a single heaven spiritual body. For example, there were no heaven spiritual bodies in the Tsang province. According to Lu Ming's knowledge, there were no heaven spiritual bodies in the Cloud Emperor Mountain. At this moment, Huang Qi was completely dumbfounded. Do you still want to fight? Lu Ming looked at Huang Qi. His casual words made Huang Qi's face turn red. Chapter 1624. Back then, he had fought with a first-stage sage-to-be genius for 100 moves before he was defeated. He had always been proud of that, but now he was nothing compared to Lu Ming. Lu Ming had killed a first-stage sage-to-be expert with a stomp. If he fought with Lu Ming, he would not even need a stomp. He would only need half a stomp. Previously, Lu Ming had said that he was not qualified to fight, and that was the truth. However, he had said that Lu Ming was arrogant. It was obvious that he was ignorant. Get lost. Lu Ming shouted coldly. Huang Qi left with a red face. This person is very strong. No wonder he can be with Huang Ling. Birds of a feather flock together. It's normal for a heavenly spiritual body to be with a heavenly spiritual body. However, this person's cultivation is too low. It will be difficult for him to compete with other heavenly spiritual bodies. That's right. Unless his cultivation increases. Lu Ming naturally heard these words, but he only smiled faintly and did not take it to heart. Huang Ling, do you have a way to get rid of the slaughter mark of the Thousand Slayer Mansion? Lu Ming stepped in front of Huang Ling and asked. He had the slaughter mark of the Thousand Slayer Mansion on him. As long as the Thousand Slayer Mansion's assassins were within a certain range, they would be able to find him through the slaughter mark. He was not afraid, but it was annoying. Huang Ling shook her head and said, From what I know, the slaughter mark of the Thousand Slayer Mansion is extremely difficult to get rid of. Moreover, the more Thousand Slayer Mansion's assassins are killed, the stronger the slaughter mark will be and the easier it will be for the Thousand Slayer Mansion's assassins to sense it. Only a martial emperor expert can get rid of the slaughter mark. A martial emperor expert? Lu Ming shook his head bitterly. Where could he find a martial emperor expert? There was definitely none in the 100-tribe battlefield. Even if he left the 100-tribe battlefield, there was not a single martial emperor expert in the Tsang state. There were martial emperors in other domains, but martial emperors were superior and looked down on the world. Why would they help Lu Ming, who was only a martial emperor? It seemed like he would have to be more careful in the future to prevent assassinations from the Thousand Slayers' manor. His main body couldn't stay in the mountain and river diagram every day. He needed to comprehend the great Tao of heaven and earth, and he needed to train and fight. His second body couldn't stay in the mountain and river diagram every day and use the Tai Chi disc array to improve his spirit flame. Lu Ming, the assassins of the Thousand Slayer Manor are feared by even other Emperor-ranked forces. Normally, they wouldn't dare to kill the assassins of the Thousand Slayer Manor. At most, they'd cripple them. Because once you're infected by the slaughter mark, you'll have to face endless assassination attempts. You have to be careful in the future. Huang Ling warned. Lu Ming nodded. Following which, the two of them headed towards Darkwater City. Darkwater City was several times larger than the city Lu Ming had stayed in before. The young men walking on the street all had powerful auras. Most of them were at the half-saint realm. Soon Huang Ling brought Lu Ming to a huge hall. At the top of the hall, the three words Phoenix Palace were majestic. Lu Ming, I'm from the Phoenix Palace, an emperor-ranked force. This is the temporary lodging of the Phoenix Palace in the 100-tribe battlefield, Huang Ling explained. The 100-tribe battlefield was a place where many emperor-ranked forces went to train. Therefore, many powerful emperor-ranked forces would purchase palaces in the huge cities of the 100-tribe battlefield as temporary lodgings. After all, they would be exhausted after training outside and fighting with experts. They would need a place to rest and cultivate in seclusion. Saintess. As soon as they entered the hall, two young men and women bowed to Huang Ling. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that Huang Ling had a high status in the Phoenix Palace. She was the saintess. Huang Ling nodded and led Lu Ming into the depths of the Phoenix Palace. Along the way they met no less than 20 young men and women. Among these young men and women, the men were handsome and the women were beautiful. All of them were at the half-saint realm and had superior earth spiritual bodies. Similar to the Dragon God Valley, almost everyone in the Phoenix Palace had awakened the Phoenix bloodline and cultivated the Phoenix battle body. So many geniuses. It seems that the Phoenix Palace is a terrifying existence even among the Emperor-ranked forces. Along the way Lu Ming was secretly shocked. He had met so many geniuses along the way. Any one of them would be a top genius in the Zhangzhou. Some of them had unfathomable auras and were surrounded by nomological laws. They were obviously second-stage half-saints. There were even half-saints with nomological laws. In the Zhangzhou such people could compete with the top 10 demon geniuses. This was probably just the tip of the iceberg for the Phoenix Palace. One should know that those above the Saint Realm were not allowed to enter the 100-tribe battlefield. Did the Phoenix Palace not have any geniuses above the Saint Realm? Absolutely. The Yuan continent is huge and there are too many geniuses. The Zhangzhou is just a corner of it. Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Now, his way of thinking was slowly changing. His vision was no longer limited to the Zhang Prefecture. The Divine Sons would eventually become his stepping stones. His opponents would be the peerless geniuses of the Emperor-ranked forces in the Yuan continent. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. He felt his blood boiling. Lu Ming, you can stay here for the time being. Huang Ling said as they arrived at a courtyard. All right. Lu Ming nodded. During this period, I will send people to Darkwater City to look for information about the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. If there are other maps of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb or the appearance of the key, it will not be hidden. Once there is news, I will inform you. Huang Ling said. It seems that I was right to work with you. It will save me a lot of trouble. Lu Ming smiled. How will you repay me? Huang Ling smiled and looked at Lu Ming flirtatiously. When such a beautiful woman said such flirtatious words, even with Lu Ming's composure, his heart skipped a beat. Didn't I say that you and I are like dragons and phoenixes? Why don't we do it together? Lu Ming said with a smile. Tisk, is this how you repay me? Aren't you taking advantage of me? Huang Ling rolled her eyes at Lu Ming. She lifted her feet gently and left the place. Lu Ming laughed, pushed open the door of the courtyard and walked in. The courtyard was huge. Lu Ming walked into a random room and entered the mountain river diagram. He sat under the tree of enlightenment and pondered quietly. Darkwater City is where the geniuses of various emperor-ranked forces gather. Although there are not many geniuses like Huang Ling, there are still quite a few of them. Maybe there are geniuses who are stronger than Huang Ling. If the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb really opens, those who enter will be extremely powerful. My combat strength is still not enough. Lu Ming thought to himself. Now, he could suppress someone like Wan Tianqing with the help of his main body and second body. With the help of Bubble, he could take them by surprise and kill them. However, if Lu Ming's main body was alone, he would not be a match for someone like Wan Tianqing. He had to improve his strength as soon as possible. Now, there were two main ways for him to improve his strength. One was to improve his cultivation. When his cultivation improved, his strength would naturally skyrocket. Chapter 1625. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the enlightenment ancient tree and cultivated wholeheartedly. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. It's too slow. Without a big battle, it's too slow to cultivate like this. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and muttered to himself. In fact, his cultivation speed was quite fast because he had comprehended the Tao under the enlightenment ancient tree with the help of the heavenly law stone. However, it was much slower than the speed of cultivation in a fight. There are so many geniuses here. It's a good opportunity to train with someone. It's a pity to miss it. Lu Ming smiled and changed into a black robe. He walked out of the mountain and river diagram and headed out of Darkwater City. After leaving Darkwater City, he looked at the lake not far away and saw many young men standing above the lake. There were also 2 young men who were fighting fiercely. Lu Ming's palm glowed and an Azura mask appeared in his hand. He put it on his face and instantly looked more ferocious. Lu Ming had used the Azura mask when his cultivation was not high. With its material, a high-level martial royal realm expert could see through it at a glance. However, Lu Ming covered it with his true core strength so that others could not see through it. Wearing the Azura mask, Lu Ming stepped forward and walked toward the young men. His body was emitting a cold aura. Some people were alarmed and looked at Lu Ming. When they saw Lu Ming wearing the Azura mask, they were surprised. Humph! A rank 9 martial royal realm cultivator wearing a mask is deliberately mystifying and deceiving us. Someone snorted and looked at Lu Ming coldly. Boom! All of a sudden Lu Ming made his move. He took a step forward and appeared above the person who had spoken. Then he stepped out. A towering foot was formed. Like the foot of a god, it stomped towards the person who spoke. "You're courting death." The person shouted and his true core strength burst out. His aura soared and condensed into a battle saber that slashed toward Lu Ming. The battle saber carried the power of law. This person was a stage 2 half-saint. He had a superior earthly spiritual body. His battle prowess was astonishing. His blade was earth-shattering. Just when many people thought that Lu Ming would be killed with one strike, the result was beyond their expectations. Boom! The gigantic foot stomped down and the saber shattered. The gigantic foot continued to stomp down. Lu Ming stomped the second stage half-saint into the lake below, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted. His fist glowed as he punched out. A terrifying fist energy seemed to have pierced through the void and blasted toward the lake below. Boom! The lake water surged up to the sky and the waves surged. The lake water in that area was blasted away by the fist force, and the bottom of the lake was exposed. A huge crater had appeared at the bottom of the lake. The second stage semi-sage expert was lying in the crater. He was no longer breathing. He had been killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and sucked. His quintessential essence was like a ribbon, coiling up the other party's interspatial ring. The lake water flowed backwards, and that genius remained at the bottom of the lake forever. So powerful. Many people were shocked. Although the person wearing the Azura mask was only a 9th stage martial royal realm cultivator, he was not pretending to be mysterious. He was an extremely terrifying existence. Which force is this genius from? Some people guessed. After all, there were too many Emperor-level forces. Every day there would be geniuses from Emperor-level forces joining. No one knew what kind of geniuses would appear. Whoosh! Lu Ming's gaze was like lightning, and it was as cold as a knife as he scanned the surroundings. Some people could not help but feel a chill in their hearts when Lu Ming's gaze swept past them. "You fight with me." Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on a blood-robed youth. He took a step forward and punched at the youth. After being in the 100 Clan battlefield for several months, Lu Ming had already gotten used to the rules here. There were no rules here, only tempering and challenges. Here you did not need any reason to fight with anyone. Lu Ming was here to fight with experts. He did not want to waste time, so he took the initiative to attack. "Don't think that you can fight with me just because you killed a piece of trash. Kill." Seeing that Lu Ming dared to attack him, the blood-robed youth immediately erupted with a terrifying killing intent. His body was covered in a bloody light as he punched out a blood-red palm print, which blasted toward Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming punched out 2 more times, which collided with the blood-red palm print. A terrifying fluctuation was emitted, and Lu Ming's fist force was directly dispersed. The blood-red palm print did not stop, and it carried a terrifying power of law as it blasted toward Lu Ming. Amazing, the heavenly spiritual body is indeed powerful. Lu Ming was not surprised but delighted. He took a step forward and poured his true essence into the flowing essence gloves. He punched out and smashed the blood-red palm print, then continued to attack the blood-robed youth. This blood-robed youth was a heavenly spiritual body, a genius on the same level as Huang Ling and Wan Tianqing. If Lu Ming wanted to fight, he would naturally choose someone who was extremely strong. Weak people were useless. Blood Demon's great palm. The blood-robed youth let out a roar as a bloody glow filled the air. His body seemed to have turned into a bloody aura as he unleashed the power of the law of blood. A giant palm print was formed and pressed down on Lu Ming, trying to smash Lu Ming into a pulp. Lu Ming's body glowed. One by one, bright spots shone and 12 sacred weapons appeared. Lu Ming grabbed the black dragon spear and poured his battle weapon chi into it. The chaotic domain covered the spear and turned it into a mountainous spear glow that stabbed into the sky. Boom! A shocking explosion took place as the spear glow and the blood-red palm print dissipated at the same time. That's the 10,000 weapon art. He's from the Wan clan. The Wan clan has such a terrifying genius. He's so powerful at the 9th layer martial dominator realm? Some people exclaimed in disbelief. Kill the people of the Wan clan. The blood-robed youth was extremely powerful as he flew forward with a cold, murderous intent. The bloody aura on his body grew thicker as if it had turned into a bloody ocean. Whoosh! A blood-red flag appeared in his hand. He waved the blood-red flag and it expanded rapidly. Together with the bloody ocean, it flew toward Lu Ming to wrap around him. Break! Lu Ming threw out the black dragon spear in his hand. It was like a black lightning bolt that pierced through the bloody ocean. At the same time, Lu Ming held a sacred weapon in his hand and stepped forward. He slashed out with his sword and a shocking sword chi appeared as if it was going to split the heavens and earth. The bloody ocean was split open, but after rolling for a while, it merged back together. The black dragon spear flew back without any effect. The bloody ocean spread out and the blood-red flag covered the sky, enveloping Lu Ming. Turn into a pool of bloody water. The blood-robed youth said coldly. The man with the Shura mask is doomed. He's going to die after being enveloped by the blood prison flag. He's going to turn into a pool of bloody water. That's right. The blood prison flag is so powerful that even geniuses of the same level as him would not dare to be enveloped by it. Although the masked man's strength is terrifying, he's only a 9th layer martial dominator realm cultivator. Another genius has fallen. Discussions broke out in all directions. Even the two youths who had been fighting at the beginning had stopped fighting. Lu Ming was enveloped by the blood prison flag which covered the sky. He looked around and saw nothing but a sea of blood. A terrifying bloody aura was seeping toward Lu Ming, trying to refine Lu Ming into a pool of bloody water. Chapter 1626. Lu Ming was surrounded by 12 saint weapons. He held the black dragon spear in his hand and performed the 13 strikes. Whoosh! A huge spear light pierced forward, as if it wanted to pierce through the heavens and earth. However, when the spear light pierced into the sea of blood, a huge passageway was pierced through the sea of blood. However, the sea of blood churned and reformed. There was no strength at all. It felt like there was no way to use it. Whoosh! Lu Ming switched to the saint weapon battle sword and slashed out a vast sword chi, but it was still useless. It couldn't break the sea of blood. A heaven spiritual body is indeed powerful. Lu Ming whispered. The scarlet-robed youth's combat strength was not weaker than Wan Tianqing. If Lu Ming called out Bubbles and Ming Lian, he could naturally suppress the opponent. However, that would be meaningless. Lu Ming was here to hone himself. Boom! Boom! Immediately, Lu Ming began to launch a frenzied attack. He used the long spear, the combat sword, the combat saber, and the hell-suppressing heaven skill. All kinds of attacks were launched one after another, bombarding the vast sea of blood. The sea of blood kept rolling and shaking violently. However, the sea of blood still didn't break, but such attacks weren't useless. At least they could stop the sea of blood from invading and resist the refining power. Outside the sea of blood, young Master Blood Prison stood above the sea of blood, his eyes cold. Humph! Struggle. Even if you struggle for a while, you will still die in the end. Young Master Blood Prison said coldly. His body became more and more blurred, as if he was about to turn into a bloody light and merge into the sea of blood. Whoosh! 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 In the sea of blood, the bloody light began to change, condensing into battle swords and spears, attacking Lu Ming. Good. Lu Ming was fearless. He held the spear in one hand and the sword in the other, clashing with the bloody light. In the blink of an eye, a few minutes had passed and the battle was still going on. Great, hi, your sea of blood can't refine me at all. Lu Ming laughed, his voice passing through the sea of blood. This made young Master Blood Prison's face turn even uglier. Let's see how long you can last. Young Master Blood Hell shouted coldly. his body transformed into a mass of blood-red light and merged with the Sea of Blood, making the Sea of Blood even more powerful. In front of Lu Ming, the Sea of Blood roiled, and suddenly, a huge face appeared. It was none other than Prince Bloodjail's face. Kill? The face roared, and boundless blood-red light shot towards Lu Ming. The black dragon spear shook and turned into a spear light that stabbed towards the blood-red light. At the same time, the battle sword in his left hand slashed out, and a huge sword chi slashed out. Boom, boom. This time, the power of the blood light was even stronger. Lu Ming's body shook greatly, and he could not help retreating repeatedly. With his main body alone, he was no match for a genius like Prince Blood Prison. Kill? At this time, Lu Ming suddenly shouted. The divine sword secret art burst out and turned into two black sword lights, piercing into the Sea of Blood. Ah, it's a soul attack. Amidst the blood sea, young Master Blood Prison's pained roar resounded. Whoosh, whoosh. Two sword lights shot out from Lu Ming's eyes again and pierced into the Sea of Blood. Prince Blood Prison screamed again in the Sea of Blood. The Sea of Blood roiled violently, and Prince Blood Prison's body recondensed in the Sea of Blood. His face was pale. It was not that he did not have a spiritual deity defense treasure, but when his body turned into a blood-red light and merged with the Sea of Blood, it meant that his soul was also scattered. Naturally, the spiritual deity defense treasure lost its effect, and Lu Ming had injured his soul. He had to recondense his body so that the spiritual deity defense treasure could be effective. However, when he recondensed his body, the power of the Sea of Blood was naturally weakened. Chaos. Lu Ming shouted, and his hands moved rapidly. Outside the Sea of Blood, in the sky, a huge chaos-flipping sky seal condensed. Its size was not smaller than the Sea of Blood. This was the chaos-flipping sky seal that Lu Ming had unleashed with all his strength. What a terrifying attack. Outside, many geniuses were pale when they saw the huge chaos-flipping sky seal in the sky. They felt that if such an attack landed on them, their souls would be scattered. Boom. The chaos-flipping sky seal pressed down on the Sea of Blood. Rumble. The Sea of Blood shook violently and rolled crazily, erupting a terrifying confrontation with the chaos-flipping sky seal. In the sky there were continuous explosions. There's an exit. In the Sea of Blood, Lu Ming looked up and his eyes lit up. The chaos-flipping sky seal collided with the Sea of Blood, and finally, a gap was created. Lu Ming used the wind thunder step, and with a step, his body turned into wind and thunder, and instantly rushed out of the gap, rushing out of the Sea of Blood. That guy rushed out. Some people exclaimed in shock. It should be known that it was not easy to rush out of young Master Blood Prison's Sea of Blood. Very few people could do it. Boom. At this time, the chaos-flipping sky seal, due to the continuous collision with the Sea of Blood, finally exhausted its energy and exploded. However, the Sea of Blood had also withered a lot. This was not because the chaos-flipping sky seal was not powerful, but mainly because Lu Ming's cultivation was too weak. The Sea of Blood contained the power of law. Also, the chaos-flipping sky seal was still at the 4th level, so its power was naturally limited. Even if you rush out of the Sea of Blood, you still have to die. The young master of the Blood Prison shouted coldly. The Sea of Blood condensed into a blood flag and he held it in his hand. The blood light on his body continuously surged into the blood flag. The blood flag expanded to 100,000 feet in size and swept toward Lu Ming. Bus. Lu Ming's long spear swept out, and it also became 10,000 feet large. The two of them made a terrifying collision and heaven and earth roared. Lu Ming stepped on the void and retreated. In a head-on confrontation, he was no match for young Master Blood Prison. Kill, kill, kill. The 10,000 feet blood flag swept toward Lu Ming continuously. Lu Ming put down the black dragon spear, holding a chaos-flipping sky seal in his hand, and smashed it toward Lu Ming. This chaos-flipping sky seal had about 60% of its power. Boom. The chaos-flipping sky seal was defeated by the blood flag. But then a few more chaos-flipping sky seals appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he continuously smashed them out. The two of them fought fiercely, and they continuously exchanged more than 10 blows. Although Lu Ming was at a disadvantage, it was impossible for young Master Blood Prison to kill Lu Ming in a short time. Boom. Another earth-shattering roar sounded, and Lu Ming retreated quickly. Haha, today is a good day. Let's fight another day. Lu Ming laughed and his body flashed, heading toward Darkwater City behind him. You want to leave? Stay. Young Master Blood Prison shouted, and his killing intent was as cold as a knife. Today he had been provoked by a man of LV9 Martial Royal Realm. In the end he had not defeated his opponent. How could he show his face? He would not be reconciled if he did not kill Lu Ming. He waved the blood flag and quickly chased after Lu Ming. But Lu Ming used the Gale Thunder Steps, and his speed suddenly increased. In a flash he had rushed into Darkwater City. Damn it! Young Master Blood Prison roared, but he could only stop. Chapter 1627. In the previous battle, his true origin was about to be exhausted. However, he had used all his strength in the battle, but he was still suppressed by his opponent. However, he had gained new insights from the battle. He had a new understanding of the heaven and earth Tao. As long as he digested it, he would definitely make progress. Soon he returned to the Phoenix Palace and entered the mountain and river diagram. He sat cross-legged under the Enlightenment ancient tree and began to comprehend. 2 days later, Lu Ming finished his cultivation. Fighting with an expert in a life-and-death battle, my progress is indeed fast. It's not something that cultivation alone can compare to. Lu Ming smiled. His primal chaos domain had improved again. Then let's continue. Lu Ming smiled and left the Phoenix Palace. He found a secluded place and changed into the black robe and Azura mask before heading out of the city. It's that Azura, he's here again. Lu Ming's arrival attracted many people's attention. After all, 2 days ago the battle between Lu Ming and Prince Blood Prison had spread like wildfire. Fight. Lu Ming was still as domineering as before. He fixed his eyes on a young man and threw a punch at him. Judging from his aura, this young man should be at the same level as Prince Blood Prison. You're courting death. The young man shouted coldly and engaged in a fierce battle with Lu Ming. This time, Lu Ming was still at a disadvantage and exchanged more than 100 blows with the young man. Go to hell, kid. At this time, a crimson light rushed out of Darkwater City. It was Prince Blood Prison. He had heard the news and rushed out aggressively. I won't keep you company today. We'll fight again in 2 days. Lu Ming smiled and used the Gale Thunder Steps. After a few flashes, he avoided Prince Blood Prison and rushed into Darkwater City. This guy is using us as whetstones. The young man who had fought with Lu Ming today said coldly. No one would feel comfortable being used as a whetstone by a rank 9 martial royal realm cultivator. That guy's cultivation technique is strange. The secret skill he used is the secret skill of the Wan clan, the 10,000 weapons art. However, the domain doesn't seem to be the 10,000 weapons domain. It's like the legendary chaotic domain. There's actually someone in the world who can cultivate the chaotic domain? How shocking. Furthermore, his spirit body seems to be related to the 9 dragons. Around the lake, some youths were discussing. These people were all geniuses from Emperor-ranked forces. Naturally, they had keen eyesight. Lu Ming's domain and spirit body couldn't be hidden from them. This is truly a great era. I never expected to meet someone who has cultivated the Primal Chaos domain in the 100-tribe battlefield. The Primal Chaos domain is one of the 10 strongest domains. In the future, when it is cultivated into a law, it will also be one of the 10 strongest laws. That's right. I've heard that there are people who have successfully cultivated other supreme laws as well. If we can see the clash of supreme laws, how exciting would that be? The prodigy who fought with Lu Ming today muttered to himself. After Lu Ming entered Darkwater City, he changed back into his disguise and headed for Phoenix Palace. Unexpectedly, just as he returned to Phoenix Palace, he bumped into Huang Ling who was looking for him. Lu Ming, there's news of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb's map and key. Huang Ling said. Oh, how is it? Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he asked. There's indeed more than one copy of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb's map and key. In different places, the map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb have appeared and been obtained by different people. This matter has now spread like wildfire in Darkwater City. Huang Ling said. Do you know who obtained it? Lu Ming asked. I don't know, but I'm sure that many people are in Darkwater City. Huang Ling shook her head. It seems that everyone is waiting. Then we don't have to be anxious. There will definitely be someone who can't wait and take the lead. Lu Ming said. Huang Ling nodded and then discussed with Lu Ming before leaving. Lu Ming continued to enter the mountain river diagram and cultivated with all his might. In the following days, Lu Ming would challenge experts outside the city every 2 days. Among them, he fought with Prince of the Bloody Inferno the most. However, although Lu Ming was at a disadvantage, Prince of the Bloody Inferno could do anything to Lu Ming. In this way, a month passed in the blink of an eye. During this month, the name Azura had spread throughout Darkwater City and he had become a famous battle maniac in Darkwater City. Everyone knew that Lu Ming was using the geniuses as whetstones. On the other hand, the geniuses were using Lu Ming as a whetstone to force themselves to improve. In the past month, Lu Ming had made rapid progress and had reached the peak of the 9th layer martial dominator realm. Therefore, in the end, Lu Ming was no longer at a disadvantage when he challenged the geniuses. He was even able to fight them to a draw. There were too many geniuses in the 100-tribe battlefield and there was no lack of opponents. Therefore, Lu Ming was able to make rapid progress. If he was in the Zhangzhou state, he would not have made such rapid progress because there were not so many opponents. The collision between geniuses could promote one's progress, and Lu Ming's progress was especially obvious. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating in the mountain river diagram. Suddenly his heart skipped a beat. There seemed to be some movement outside. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and came out of the mountain river diagram. Caw. As soon as he came out of the mountain river diagram, a sharp cry came from high up in the sky, resounding and reverberating between heaven and earth. Lu Ming came out of the room and looked up at the sky. He saw that there were a few suns in the sky. No, they were not suns but a few golden crows. Divine birds, three-legged golden crows. It was a few three-legged golden crows. Three-legged golden crows were known as divine birds of the sun. Like true dragons and phoenixes, they were extremely terrifying divine beasts. Yan Kuangtu's bloodline was the three-legged golden crow. Several three-legged golden crows were circling in the sky above Darkwada City. Their bodies were covered in golden flames and they shone brightly like a sun. What's going on? Why are those three-legged golden crows circling in the sky? The disciples of Phoenix Palace were also alarmed. They appeared in the sky one by one and looked up at the sky. Huang Ling's figure appeared beside Lu Ming. Caw, caw. A total of 4 three-legged golden crows let out bright cries. Then they turned into 4 golden rogue youths and stood in 4 corners of Darkwada City. Everyone, I, the Crown Prince of the Golden Crow tribe, have something to say to all of you. The 4 Golden Crow tribe youths spoke at the same time. Their voices spread throughout Darkwada City. Caw. At this moment, an even louder cry of the Golden Crow resounded in the sky. Dazzling golden light filled the sky. Then a figure that was 10,000 feet tall appeared in the sky. This was a young man. He wasn't corporeal but was formed from true essence and the power of the laws. He wore a golden robe with a sun embroidered on it. He wore a golden crown on his head. He was handsome and cold and he exuded a powerful majesty. Greetings, 10th Crown Prince. The 4 Golden Crow tribe youths greeted the 10,000 feet tall figure at the same time. It's the 10th Crown Prince of the Golden Crow tribe. This person is extremely terrifying. His physical body is equivalent to an inferior heaven spiritual body. Moreover, he has reached the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, the vessel of law's realm. Chapter 1628. Jar of the Precepts? Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The jar of the precepts, as the name suggested, was the power of the precepts. When it entered the body, every muscle and even every cell would be filled with the power of the precepts. At this level, the physical strength of a person's body would skyrocket. His combat strength would also be terrifying. He was only half a step away from the saint realm. Huang Ling also had an inferior heaven spiritual body. She was a prodigy at the same level as the 10th prince. However, she was only a stage 2 half-saint. If she fought with the 10th prince, she would be easily defeated. In the 100-tribe battlefield, this kind of prodigy was the strongest. Prodigies who were even stronger would rarely come to the 100-tribe battlefield because there would be no training for them. The 10th Golden Crow Prince looked around and said, "I'm sure everyone knows that the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb is about to appear." Many people were shocked. The 10th Prince's first sentence was about the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Was he doing this because of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb? Finally, someone can't help it. Lu Ming smiled faintly and glanced at Huang Ling. "I also know that some people have already obtained the map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. It is in Darkwada City." The 10th Prince continued. Many people's eyes lit up. They knew that the 10th Prince was going to take the lead. However, the map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb are divided into many parts. It is useless to obtain a single part. Only by gathering them together can we find the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb and obtain the treasures inside. Today I will take the lead. I also have the map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Those who have the map and key of the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb can gather at the Golden Crow Hall tomorrow at noon. After all, these maps and keys are useless if they are not combined. They can only be scraps. In the end, the Golden Crow 10th Prince added. Then his enormous body disappeared. He disappeared from the sky. The 4 people from the Golden Crow clan also disappeared from the sky. How about it? Are we going to the Golden Crow Hall tomorrow? Huang Ling looked at Lu Ming. Of course. If we don't go, our maps and keys will be useless, Lu Ming said with a smile. At this moment, some people in Darkwater City were also looking at the 10th prince. The entire Darkwater City was discussing this matter. After a day of silence, Lu Ming and Huang Ling headed for the Golden Crow Hall at noon the next day. The Golden Crow Palace was also bought by the Golden Crows in Darkwater City as a temporary residence. It was very large and was not smaller than the Phoenix Palace. When Lu Ming and Huang Ling arrived at the square in front of the Golden Crow Hall, they realized that it was already crowded. Many geniuses had gathered around the square. There were also many natives. Most of them didn't have the map or the key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. They were only here to watch the show and see who had the key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. There were dozens of golden-robed young men standing on the square. They were all members of the Golden Crow tribe. Among these people there was a young man with a golden crown on his head. He sat on a chair and looked around with a dignified expression. He was the 10th prince of the Golden Crow tribe. Lu Ming and Huang Ling blended into the crowd and did not go out. Who has the map and key to the Reincarnation Monarch's tomb? Come out. The voice of the Golden Crow clan's 10th prince sounded. Bang, bang. At that moment, a figure stepped into the air and landed on the square. It was a young man who looked to be in his 20s. He was tall and slender and was surrounded by lightning. His aura was intimidating. It's wild lightning Yi Dongfang from the Thunder God sect. Someone exclaimed. This person is very powerful. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The lightning surrounding Yi Dongfang was formed by the law of lightning. Once he attacked, it was earth-shattering. Yi Dongfang is extremely terrifying. He is an expert who is not weaker than the 10th prince. Huang Ling transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Yi Dongfang, you have the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb? The 10th prince's eyes shot out 2 beams of golden light as he stared at Yi Dongfang. That's right. Yi Dongfang's hand glowed and a jade talisman and key appeared in his hand. They were almost the same as the jade talisman and key that Lu Ming and Huang Ling had obtained. Take out your map and key, Yi Dongfang said. The 10th Golden Crow Prince smiled. With a wave of his hand, a jade talisman and a key appeared in his hand. Surprisingly, there were 2 jade talismans and 2 keys. You actually obtained 2 sets of maps and keys. Lightning energy shot out of Yi Dongfang's eyes. Many prodigies looked at the jade talismans and keys in the 10th prince and Yi Dongfang's hands with burning eyes. However, no one dared to do anything. Trying to get the 10th prince and Yi Dongfang's hands was no different from seeking death. 3 sets. It's obviously far from enough. Who else has the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb? The Golden Crow 10th prince looked around again. Us. At this moment, 2 more figures stepped into the square. These 2 youths were undoubtedly extremely terrifying prodigies. Although they were not as strong as Yi Dongfang and the 10th prince, they were on the same level as Huang Ling, the Blood Jail Prince, and Wan Tianqing. A jade talisman and key appeared in their hands. After a while, another person stepped out and took out a jade talisman and key. After a while, another person walked out. There was no doubt that these people who had obtained the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb's jade talisman and key were extremely terrifying. None of them were weaker than the Blood Jail Prince and Wan Tianqing. Including the one in the 10th prince's hand, there were 6 sets of jade talismans and keys to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. The eyes of Yi Dongfang, the 10th prince, and the others lit up. If this continued, they might be able to gather the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb. Anyone else? The 10th prince's voice sounded again. Let's go out. Huang Ling sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. The 2 of them stepped out and landed on the square, immediately attracting everyone's attention. That's Huang Ling from the Phoenix Palace. Who is that kid? How can he stand with Fairy Huang Ling? I know. That kid came to Darkwater City with Huang Ling. He was assassinated by an assassin from the Thousand Slayer Manor as soon as he arrived, but that assassin was easily killed by him. He actually dared to kill an assassin from the Thousand Slayer Manor. How bold. Discussions broke out in the surroundings. The 10th prince glanced at Lu Ming and Huang Ling before skipping over Lu Ming and looking at Huang Ling. He said, Huang Ling, do you have the map and key to the Reincarnation Emperor's tomb? It's not with me. It should be with both of us. Huang Ling said as a key appeared in her hand. A jade talisman appeared in Lu Ming's hand.